uh, Spence from the Dynamic Universe. We are going live. We're going to give a call to our peoples. Let's just check and get this camera going good. How is it looking? You looking groovy? Tilt this a little bit more. A little bit more. A little bit more. How is that? I think we're all, no. Too much. Too much. Yeah. All right. Fair enough. I'm gonna mess with this one more time. One more again. How is that? I think that's it. I think that's groovy. All right. So you're gonna knock out?
I'll probably listen for a little bit.
All right. I will talk to you.
Okay.
In the morning. I'm gonna wake you up early, damn it.
Yeah.
All right. All right, later. Yes, sir. We on.
Did you get the email?
Let's go check. You got me about to pull up my email in front of everybody. You wild son.
Well, I didn't tell you to go on before you called me.
No.
Do that.
I don't see it. I don't see it yet. You sent it a minute ago?
Yeah, can I just send the images to your phone?
No, I want to show them on the screen.
I know. Well, I sent the email and it's taking along, so I uploaded them to Google Drive. So now I'm trying to figure out how I could get them. I need to pull my computer out.
So as silly as it sounds, you should have put like one picture per email.
I know. I didn't do that.
All right. Well, we're gonna assume they're gonna get here. I mean, we could just rock out, see what we get. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we should rock out, see what we get, and they're gonna come in, and also I'm gonna try a different method.
All right, we're gonna play with it. All right. So what happens is this is Drew Spence from the Dynamic Universe, also with my people's Troy Tieuelium, who is a art teacher, graphic artist, photographer, journalist. I don't know what other titles you think you should run around with.
Yeah, illustrator, I think, is one that I'm trying to go with right now.
Exotic dancer, we cutting that off the menu.
That was never on the menu. I wish. Look, I'm gonna have the money right now.
There you go. All right. So what happens is on my Facebook page, I belong to a ton of art groups for both CGI, Daz Studio, basically a whole bunch of them. And today, there was a question from one of the sites I create comics that someone posted up. So the question or the point was, someone said, I'm reading this if you guys can't see it real that clear, but this is a serious question. Think about your answer. How many of you love doing your work? Not to get something in return, but because you are creating material that makes you feel good for what you have accomplished. Anytime I hear someone ask for help with their work, whether it be a story, art, or anything else, the number one response is compensation. How many of you were raised to believe that you only do something for someone if you get something in return? And how many were raised to do things from the heart and not ask for anything in return? And the person says, I know this is a monetary value planet, has been for almost all its existence. Like I said, it's a serious question. Tell us your views and belief. So I saw this question this morning and I had a response that I typed back. I tend to not want to argue on my social media because Facebook is such an open landscape and almost don't make sense. And plus the conversations don't stick around. So you might have said something poignant 2 weeks ago, but after that, 2 hours later, no one ever sees it ever again. So I kind of feel it's a little pointless to do that. I kind of feel the same way about like YouTube, whatever. Nobody cares. But that was the question the person asked. And it kind of seems like they're pitching, why don't artists just sort of work for the love of art and, help someone out by helping their vision come to life and do art for free, basically. I mean, we've heard this from music before. Anything you do for entertainment, someone always says, do it for the love, do it for the pure experience of doing the art, and that becomes a thing. So that's how we kind of end up here talking about this. And I call my cat Troy, and we're gonna basically go over this and see what we think before we get to some of the replies and whatever else is going on. So the question simply is, what are your feelings on doing art for free or working simply for the love?
I think that anyone who is making art for a living should love it, right? And if they don't, and to be just like if you work at a job that you hate. So it's going to affect the output. But working for free is sometimes necessary. You have to individually measure the benefit. So it's like there should be in it for you as the artist. But what that something is has to be, decided upon by you. Like there should be something in it for you. So if I'm going to go work for you, it's either I'm going to get paid, or I'm going to get variety, or I'm going to get to learn how to do something, right? There should be some goal and some payout for your efforts.
And you had said before that there was a thing, if the person was a large enough entity or big enough or widely established enough, you might do it for exposure.
Right. Well, so that would be your payoff. But the person would have to be big. Like, just for anybody for exposure isn't always, because everybody's not going to give you exposure, because some people don't know what they're doing.
So you're basically saying, like, for this entity that says, do me this favor for exposure and be established, like, you have to say they've got 5,000 listeners, then I'll do it, because they've got this built-in response already in place. But you're not going to do it for someone who hasn't really established themselves as a presence.
Right. If they haven't established themselves, they have to have some other sort of compensation. Like I can see, doing a drawing, like somebody's going to say, all right, I'm going to buy you some paint. And then I bought you these pots of paint. Go ahead and, do this painting for me that I want you to do.
All right. So you could get paid with resources.
Right. Yeah. Barter.
All right. So what we have, though, is a lot of times, let's go with my answer, what I said. So I said in response, that I love doing my art, but I don't love doing someone else's art. And I said the person's mixing ideas together because they talked about how you were raised, as if somehow there's a problem in your upbringing if you're not really interested in helping someone out with their work. So, I said working for free for the love of a thing makes no sense. The problem is many people love art and not the artists. And I find that to be true, that if they had respect for the artist, they would enjoy paying them and feel like you were contributing to the artistic community by putting your money where your heart is. And as an artist, getting paid for your talents feels great. Like, an artist is willing to spend $50 to make 5 off of their arts and talents. Like, that's how the mentality is, that it feels so good. It's such a euphoria when someone purchases your work. It is such a validation when someone is willing to spend money for your creative energy. It just feels so great. It becomes the thing that's driving, but people seem to like the art and not the artist. You like what I do, but you don't want to help me do it. You don't want to enable me to do it. You don't want to do anything that supports my efforts besides just pick up the end product. Like, good luck making it. I'll decide if I like it at the end. But, you got to build up a massive track record before people have that confidence to say, okay, if I buy this, he might do another one, and get in that line. That's like that Patreon model, that you have sort of see what the person is capable of and decide if you want to see more of it, and you help them. The super artist, which is now we're getting into the artsy fartsy part of things, the pure artist is only concerned with getting more time resources. What does every artist want? More time to do their art and more resources to do their art. They want to get those expensive markers. They want to get that tablet. They want to get the better pens. They want to get the faster computer. They want to get more resources. That's also part of the driving force, and being compensated for your art goes a long way. And extending, it's hard to be creative when you've got real life things. Usually art for most people is an escape, joy, entertainment, to get away from the day, which is what artists are providing you, a break. And it's almost like, imagine you're working at a job, and the thing that gives you a break or a lunch break, you're not really that enthusiastic about. And that's what basically an artist is. We're giving you a break. We're taking you out of the normal and basic and giving you a place to go. And it's like, how valuable is that to you to have some place to go? The more you work, the more of a break you want. The longer you work, the more important your breaks are to you. So it's a little bit of a weird thing that we're not really making connection between what artists really contribute, and you're just thinking about the art as something that's just cool to see, cool to have, and people lightly engage with it, which is kind of crazy. But
Yeah,
it's hard to be creative when you've got real life pressures bearing down on you. It's hard to sit around and think about art and spending your last bit of money on another set of markers, or spend the money you were going to spend on a vacation or renovating something. You're going to buy another video card with it. That's those are real sacrifices that are being made.
well, I think you have to have a goal, right? So when you're doing that art, like why are you doing the art? Like where's the benefit? So on one hand you can say, oh, I'm just drawing this picture just to draw a pretty picture because I enjoy drawing pretty pictures.
Mm.
But like there's a real world out here that's gonna eventually invade.
Yeah.
So part of that real world, like I gotta pay rent. So like me doing this drawing has to lead in some way to me making some money.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So now I have to justify, like me as an artist. So I'm speaking for myself. I have to justify every time I sit down and draw something. Like, why am I drawing this? What am I drawing it for? And how is it going to benefit me? Or I lose interest. I'm like, what for?
Yeah, I've had that feeling when we talk about the part when we get to the advice part, where it's like, what idea am I rolling with? And are you working on your most lucrative idea? And it could feel funny as an artist to be drawing an idea that isn't your best one, or isn't the one that's bringing you the most income because you enjoy it. And that could be weird, to sort of realize that you're working on something that isn't really your money maker. And it's like, wow, we gonna do that? And it's like, yeah, sometimes that becomes the concern. Why am I working on this particular thing? Because it's not making me money. It's not doing anything for me. And that could be limiting.
Got to be doing,
Mm-mm-mm.
bringing me a new lens so I can take more pictures.
Yeah.
Put me in a position to get more clients.
Well, I remember when I was doing a lot of photography stuff, just and video stuff, just buying those damn SD cards, and how many times you'd erase something because you just didn't have room to keep it. And you'd erase something and have to reuse the card and just figure out, like, what can I let go of so I can record this next thing. So many times I've done that. I've been at concerts where I've miscounted how much filming I was going to do. And you're like, well, you know what? We're getting near the ending of the show. Has some really great artists getting on. You know what I'm going to start doing? Erasing the opening acts. Now I'm going to go back to that SD card, the one that says number 1 on it, and I'm going to start taping over those opening acts because I don't have enough resources to capture everything for the day.
Yeah, that's photojournalism mess up number one.
Yeah.
That's the first thing they tell you when you go to photography school. Have your extra memory. But look, think about this. When I learned photography, it was during the film era.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine having to have rolls of film that you have to deal with.
Crazy. What you gonna keep? It's slightly a different time with what we're talking about, but What's different is in this time is that a lot of things are off the internet. So the difference is I doubt you got an email from someone asking you to do a collabo, in your email 10 years ago. Well, maybe more than 10, but now it's not even weird to just see on a forum or a group someone asking for help. You're on a page with a bunch of artists and someone shows up and says, "Hey, I'm a writer. Can one of you guys illustrate my book and help me bring my dreams to life?" And I see those all the time. And of course, they usually get shouted down and you get beaten down, you know.
Give me your email again.
Well, don't say it on the damn Twitch. Don't say that. We
All right.
live.
I'm sorry.
You
I
just
didn't know
need
you
it
had
again in text?
No, you don't need to do anything. I got it.
Okay. Well, my spot.
I didn't know it was secret.
Well, it is. I don't want everyone to start sending me stuff. I think I have a public facing one. It's like the real one. Like that's like the real one that I check every hour. There's a whole bunch of other ones that I don't check that you can send the spam to, and I'll check it once a week or something. But nah, not the main. That's like my real number. It rings at 3 in the morning. I'm answering.
Oh wow.
Send it yet?
I am putting it together now.
Nice.
Just quick fence.
Nice. So the other question is, because there's always, oh snap, I got an invitation to collaborate.
Yeah. So
We're gonna have to open that on my main machine. Let's see what we got here.
Oh, let me tune in so I can comment.
Oh, nice. Oh, you are wildin'. This is some nice stuff. Okay. What's up? Got a lot of stuff here. This is what's up.
Are you showing it on the screen?
No, not yet. It just disappeared, actually. I saw it for a split second, and then it disappeared. I don't know what that was about. But yeah, I saw it for a split second, then it went away. But yeah, we're going to get to that. We're definitely going to get to that.
So on the screen right now is the Facebook post,
Yeah,
right?
I'm not going to pull up, it should be the Photoshop.
Yeah, the Facebook post.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the other question the person was asking was, what does it take to get you to be invested in their sort of vision or dream? What could get that to work? You're an artist. Someone wants you to help create their project. What does it take to get you involved?
It's gonna take money.
Mm.
It's gonna take more of whatever it is that we're bartering for, right? So like, more of camera lenses. You know what I mean? Give me 2 camera lenses instead of 1. I'm gonna be more excited. If there's if you're feeding me, unlimited food or whatever, if I'm interested in that, it's like, if I'm only interested in money, then I need more money.
All right, we got to go to the hard questions. How does someone without money get some art? How do I get free art? How do I get free writing? How do I get that?
You gotta be so dope that I'm gonna be a better artist by working with you.
That's asking a lot.
That is.
That's asking a lot.
So you is that earnest falls directly back on you. You have to be awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you have to be continuously awesome. Like, like if you're gonna come and you're gonna work for me for free, right? Like, I can't just be dope right now and then like next week, we ain't doing nothing. Like, we gotta still be doing something, and I gotta put a type of package together that's gonna get you to work more. You know.
All right, let's bring in another concept. Who goes first, right? We talked about this before also. That a lot of this depends on who goes first. And I've said before, like you could tell who owns a project because it dominates. Like when a writer is the main driving force behind a project, the comic will be very wordy, and they'll want to like write every nuanced phrase. The character walks in the room, they're gonna write a paragraph. So and so walked in the room, his head swiveling from right to left, looking for danger in any unseen corner. And that's what the writer will do, and say, just get one image of him walking in the room, I got it from there. And if the artist leads the story and it's their project, it'll be a whole page of the character walking in the room and his head turning from left to right. And the camera will zoom in on his eyes and the camera will show the shadow in the corner. And it's like that to me is that celebrated difference between when an artist runs the project, when a writer runs the project, that you could feel it when you're absorbing the work, who had the most dominant position, and in other words, who went first. And I find that when we used to do music, you'd put a whole bunch of producers together in a room and they're all chatting among each other. When the artist walks in and asks for help with music production, the artist, um, uh, gets blown out the room because the producers are basically saying, who are you, where's your talent, what level are you, what's your budget. And it's the same in reverse. When you put a whole bunch of artists together and a producer or a record maker walks in the room, everyone is saying, what are your credentials, why should we work with you, what do you bring into the table. And it becomes a whole litmus test of, what are the credentials of this person. And I say that's big fish, small fish thing. And as you've said, you'll work with someone if the fish was big enough, you'll go along with their project. I sometimes say that the fish need to be the same size because it doesn't make sense for you to be a person who hasn't really proven themselves. You don't have a body of work, even on a portfolio level, and yet you're going to start talking about page rates. Because whatever you do in entertainment, you're gonna do for free in the beginning. Your first one, I don't care if you're gonna say that I'm gonna become a mechanic, you're gonna repair someone's car for free before you end up getting in. And the same thing, like if you've never made a book before, your first book isn't gonna be something you're gonna get paid for.
So we're gonna exclude the people who are like born into like if your father owns his own mechanic shop. We're gonna exclude those people.
No, we're not even gonna exclude those either, because your father is gonna have you working in a shop for free, and he'll be paying you either negatively, where you'll be in there, and it's a trade. Your father isn't paying you to work in his shop. When do you think that's not even gonna happen? You're gonna be working in your dad's shop for free, getting things, fetching stuff, doing small things. You'll be rotating tires, you'll be changing oil, and slowly over time, when you prove yourself, is that your father will say, all right, here's an allowance. And it's gonna be worse than anyone else would ever pay you for. That's what happens when you work for family. They always pay you low.
Because they give you a different board.
Yeah, and they expect you to do things because of the love. You want to talk about pressure of love. This person is asking about pressure for loving the art. Imagine when it's your family. Do it because you love me. Troy, do this birthday card for Aunt Janice for free because it's Aunt Janice. What are you gonna say? No? You probably gonna end up doing the card for free and just be mumbling, grumbling the whole way through it.
Yeah, I've been in that position before.
Yeah. People know that you do something. People always come to me and say, I want to record something. I want to record this. It'll be quick. Everyone says that. It'll be quick. I just want to record this little message. I just want to make a little song really quick. Everyone says that. I understand it. People don't, if you haven't recorded before, you don't know what it is. If you're a writer and you don't draw, you don't know what it takes to draw or illustrate something. You just sort of think it pops in. And artists in balance think that drawing is a simple thing. Like anybody could draw. Anyone could draw my book. I'm doing you a favor by us together working and making this happen. I spent months writing this. I spent 5 years writing it off and on. So I know you're gonna spend, a hard 3 months illustrating it, but it kind of evens out. I don't know.
3 months. That last month, that last week.
Mm. Yeah, crazy. But that's what occurs. That's what occurs. Well, we had the debate about art. I know you had made a statement about writers and comparing the overall skill behind becoming a talented writer versus the skill of becoming a talented artist?
Right. Yeah. So the point that I was making is you get a lot more training on writing than you get training on being creative and creating art. It's like a 12-to-1 ratio. Like you get 12 years worth of writing, and you get maybe 1 year worth of art. For the average student, like if you're kind of like artistically inclined, you might seek out more, right?
Mm.
But you just are just going with the waves. You're just a regular person that's going to steer right down the middle, do what you're told. You're not getting that art. You're getting math. You're getting writing. And you're getting more writing like that. And reading.
Mm.
So, um, that's kind of like the training that you get. And then you don't even get all those trainings. So like sometimes you miss out. Teachers aren't good. Whatever. That's beside the point though. But so the average person has a more solid foundation to go into any writing task that they have going into an artistic task. That's why a lot of people, they say, "Oh, I want to do a comic book," and they might make a zine or a small little book or something, that they do on their own. But then when it comes to producing a book to sell, they don't they don't love it enough.
Mm.
So like they're not going to struggle through the hard times, and I think that might have been kind of what he was getting at is you have to love it because there's going to be some hard times that you're going to have to struggle through. Like right now, I'm doing Inktober, and I'm struggling on the Inktober. You know what I'm saying? Doing something every day, those type of challenges and those tasks, it forces you to relook at whatever that you're doing, whatever that challenge is.
Yeah, art requires a different kind of discipline where, you know, I don't want to start speaking for the world, but to really make it in almost anything, you need a unique ability to concentrate it for a long time in a row. Like you hear about how long a recording session may have ran for. You see
Right.
how long someone spent the whole weekend. Someone spent the whole weekend working on a report. When you hear that, it doesn't mean they put 2 hours in on Friday night. They spent 2 hours working on the report Saturday, and they did an hour and a half on Sunday. Like that means that person can sit in one spot for 14 hours straight and crank on something. And we could say like, oh, you have to love it to be able to do that, but it's actually discipline. It's the bigger word. It's just a discipline. It's not a desire. It's a discipline because there's times you're not going to work on stuff. There's elements of it that you're not going to feel like doing for the day. And I'm not saying like I did a video about the boring parts of your comic or the boring parts of your art. It's not the boring parts. It's the fact that you can get worn down, and it requires discipline to stay focused, sit in that chair, and get it done. Like and do it and put the work in and maintain full concentration and get it done. It's not easy to muster that. And there's people who say, I would do this, but I can't concentrate for long and I get distracted easily and I can't stay on one thing for long. And it's like, well, you're probably not going to end up being any kind of artist because that's required. Like that's a personality thing to be able to discipline yourself enough to not get distracted, not put things on, not wander off and procrastinate. It requires that. I've gotten flack before on the internet. People have said, help me get motivated. I don't feel like working on my art this week. Guys, help me out. Help me get motivated. Help me with my stuff. I have nothing to say. Give me some ideas, guys. I need ideas. And I sometimes say that the world doesn't really need another artist. It just doesn't. We don't need another comic book. There's enough. Your book, whatever you're doing, is not needed. So if you're not up to the task or you don't feel like doing it, don't do it. When you have nothing to write, it means you have nothing to say. And if you have nothing to say, maybe you should be quiet. And if you're sitting there and you're like, I have nothing to say, guys, give me some words, give me some ideas. Maybe we shouldn't. And maybe you just don't have it. And that's it. People talk about writer's block, and you don't have it. It's what I call not having anything to say. And sometimes you just simply don't have anything to say. And
I think the one caveat to that is that the person that has a job doing that, right? So like I remember working for the newspaper, and I was a section editor. So every week, because we came out weekly, I had to fill up that section with stories. So I mean, I never kind of stoop to
Plagiarism.
no, not plagiarism, but doing a Facebook post and saying, hey, I don't have any ideas, but I was
Yeah.
open to them if you had a suggestion.
Yeah.
I remember I did this. I told my Facebook fandom to say like, here, I'm going to interview this person.
What are some good questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, that I think is a slight. You know what? That is a gray area because you have the desire to work. You're just not sure how to approach it. Now, if you were to pop on your Facebook page and say, guys, I'm interviewing this guy on site, but I really don't feel like doing it. Help me find my inspiration. Help me find my motivation because I really don't feel like doing this today. And then everyone blows sunshine and says, just hang in there, it'll pass. When I have trouble coming up with something, I take a walk in the park. When I have trouble, I read a book. When I can't think of something, what I like to do, and it's like all these silly tricks and stuff. And it's like a lot of this sometimes it's just you're not supposed to feel it all the time. Whatever it is that you have a desire to do, you're not going to feel it all the time. That's where discipline kicks in. You're not going to feel it. I don't care. And when I lose my motivation and my inspiration, I rely on discipline and my technical skills. And I know what goes here. Like I don't need to be, dancing on tulips to make something. Like, okay, this is how I work. This is what my work looks like. And you'll hit your pulses that's inspired where you'll look at it yourself and go, oh my God, how did I come up with that? That's crazy. That's inspiring. But then there's other times you're going to hit a pulse where you have to just grind through it. I have to get a report done. So I'm going to sit here for the next 6 hours and get it done. I'm not going to be happy. I'm not going to feel this. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. But you know what? I got to get this done. So I'm going to sit here for 6 hours and do it. It's not going to be enjoyable. It's not going to be fun. It's sometimes, I like to say that art isn't, when you've mastered your craft, I'm not going to say master, then I'm supposed to argue with the word mastery. But when you've mastered your craft, art isn't hard to do. It's something you work hard at. And you're not, like if you're having trouble drawing a straight line, there's apps for that. If you're struggling with coming up with an idea and you have nothing, maybe that's when you do a collabo. Like these are all those windows and openings that there's a solution for all of those. But if you really are sitting there with nothing to say, nothing to add, you know, maybe you just, you shouldn't then be adding. Maybe that's not the moment, that's not the thing for you to do, you know? But other than that, like I said, it's a discipline. It requires a different kind of discipline. Most things do. Sometimes discipline, sometimes it requires patience, and they go hand in hand. But on my screen now is I see you've got the Hellboy tribute.
Yes, it's Magnolia.
Yeah, you got like a half comic, half graph style. This is kind of wicked.
Yeah, well, it's we were kind of talking about loving to do art, but do you love your art, right? Like, so do you even know what your style is? You know what I mean? And so it's like, that it kind of relates to working for free because you have to kind of create your work in order to even know that this is your style. You know what I mean? So, when I look at this, that's what it makes me think about because, like, I remember at one time thinking, like, man, maybe I don't have what it takes to be successful as an artist. You know what I mean? And so, it's like you have to kind of create that and then show that and get other people's reaction. Like I feel like as an editor, I kind of know enough about other artists and what they create to say whether my art is good or not. When especially looking at it in this form. But at one point, like before I did Inktober thing, I wasn't sure, and I had no idea what my style would be. Like I hadn't did graffiti since high school,
Mm.
and so outside of like little sketches and things that you would just do, you know what I mean. So it's like, look, I'm gonna get in this because there's a lot of aspects of comic book art that I don't really know. You know what I mean? Like I know that I can draw, right? But like lettering, so like I'm, totally leaning on my graffiti past to, to deal with the lettering. So I know I have thoughts and procedures in my mind that are unique, and so this is like kind of like an example of it. Like I put the Inktober challenge is I combined it. I combined Inktober and Kayfabe-tober, and so basically what Inktober is this guy came up with a theme so that every day in October you would do a different type of art using ink, right?
Mm.
And it's to celebrate ink, as an art form.
That's
And
dope.
so a lot of people have now, since it got really, really popular, have kind of adapted it to themselves because really that's all these challenges. That's where they have sprung from. Someone doing something that's going to kind of help them out, right? So it's like in Inktober is you're doing 31 pieces of art by the end of it, and so in that there's going to be a lot of discovery, going to be a lot of learning, and the creators of Inktober ink, but you can do it for anything. Like so, in this case, we're doing a comic book Inktober, where it's all about different comic book artists. I've learned a lot about the history of comic books, um, who made these books, and what type of people they are. Um, and it also puts me in position to make art that I wouldn't normally make.
Mm.
Like so, I would normally try to go for a Tank Girl cover. And this is what the current issue is. And Tank Girl is a popular comic book, um, like a kind of like an indie, but it was a very very successful indie.
Right.
Um, so I combine Tank Girl with Robotech. See, I got to make stuff interesting for me, and if it's
Yeah.
not interesting to me, then it's going to take a lot of or an additional effort. So that's Tank Girl and Robotech, and then I kind of chose one of the least favorite mecha in Robotech, which is the Ajax helicopter. It's not the least. The least is the Logan, and if you know about Robotech, I'm talking about the American Robotech with the three skins. That Logan is the ugliest is Veritech. And so in popularity, right after that is just Ajax, because the Ajax just don't make sense because helicopters don't go in space.
You're going super nerdy now. That's the white one. It was white.
It was a couple different colors, but mainly gray. And yeah, but it was a helicopter. It was the only helicopter in Robotech.
Mm.
That was like a traditional looking helicopter, and it turned into a little robot, or whatever. They had all their, yeah, I'm getting super nerdy. So let's get
You
back
are.
to the. So yeah, you have to love it, and that's what it is. Go to the next image, so we could stop talking about Robotech.
Just flipping through them.
Flip very fast. You got to flip very slow, because remember, I think we still got that lag.
Yeah, it's not bad though. I was stuck on the Mr. T looking one.
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I like that one. I like to leave it on that one. The JYD. What you know about the JYD?
That was my favorite wrestler when I was coming up. Like one of the days in Inktober was wrestling, right? And so, I didn't really get into wrestling, right? But I did watch some of it. So I knew Hulk Hogan, I knew Roddy Piper, I knew Junkyard Dog. My real favorite was Ultimate Warrior, but like I have always leaned towards the African American characters in whatever stories that I was doing. You know, like I would always right into them. Like if it was a black person in the background, I'm looking past the subject and I'm seeing what they doing in the back. Like
Yeah,
that's
when
type
I
of viewer.
yeah, I used to stop messing with wrestling when they would have Tony Atlas lose to like some scrub. And that's when I just got turned off from the WWF for a long time, because I just felt like he was getting beat by guys that were like nowhere near his skill level, nowhere near his power. And they made him like always fall for like the dumb trick where he'd go out and like start chasing the manager and then get hit in the head with the bell. I was like, I can't watch this no more. And that kind of turned me off for a long time, the narrative. But you know what? That brings us back to our circle about the writing. And when we talk about the writer versus the artist, um, we've come across the idea that what is it that sells a product or sells a brand or sells an idea? What is it? And I've argued that it's the story. And the reason being is that we keep recasting people, we keep redoing the same property IP in different mediums. We make animes, we make video games, we make movies, we make board games, we make everything, but we still keep sticking to the same 5 or 6 stories over and over again. And that's where I say the power of the story is what's really the driving force behind success or failure. It's the story, not the art, but it's the writer, the story. I mean, why are we in 2020 and we're still running stories from the 70s? What's the hardest thing to get over now? A brand new IP that doesn't have a track record, doesn't have an already established written lore and history that people can feed off of. It's why we keep remaking everything, because it seems as though it's extremely difficult to make something new that can capture people's imagination like the stuff that has worked over and over again. And
Well,
that's when, yeah,
I kind of disagree with that.
I like it.
I think the real reason for that is a financial reason, and it's because they want to invest. You got the people with the money are not creative, right? So they don't really care about the creative effort. Right? The only thing they care about is making more money. So if they're going to invest their money, they want to invest in the most secure situation, which is going to be, remake the movie that was super successful. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't think I'm gonna say it's not remake the movie, it's remake the story that was super successful.
yeah, whatever part of it. You know,
Well, I'm still saying, like, what made it super successful? The story has endured. It's not like the art has endured, because I'll explain it this way. I don't really want to name other people's franchises because it's in poor taste, but we will. Take the Alien franchise or the Terminator franchise or the Predator franchise. And you can't argue it's the graphics if we keep moving forward in time, get more splendid, but the movies aren't resonating like the old ones. So that's because of the story, not the graphics, not the art, not even the actors. It's the story that isn't catching on. And that's what I'm saying. Like, the property is the same property. So you can't just say, well, we need to remake the Alien franchise, because just because you're making an Alien movie is not guaranteed to be successful. Or because you're using the Predator IP, they're banking on what? What are you banking it on? You can't say you're going to bank it on the property, because you can make a flop with anything. So it's not saying that Hollywood is sitting around thinking we're just going to, hash out another hit. The idea is that this story has stuck around and has garnered interest way beyond the one summer blockbuster. We still care about Indiana Jones 100 years later. We still care about, the Star Wars characters decades later. That's the story.
every one of your examples comes with very, very strong visuals. You know, like if you talk about like the Predator, like what is the Predator movie without that thing with the not the
The dreads.
the dreads.
Well,
Yeah,
then I'll counter you by asking the same question. Why is that same character in a new movie and it's not resonating? You can't say it's because of the visual. They got the Predator in the new one, and he got more screen time in the new movies than he ever had. That's the same thing with Jaws. Jaws is shown. You can't say it's Jaws that's driving the movie when you see him more in the next movies. You can't
well,
say that.
I don't think it was like those.
Well, who thinks it was a good idea to remake anything?
No, I think some movies it's a good idea to remake.
Mm.
You know, even though you risk them flopping with anything, but there's some movie that's like, dude, they need to make another. They need to make part 3 or whatever. You know what I mean? And some, hey, look, let's just leave it alone.
Mm.
Right? Let's let it go. But yeah, I think the finances is really generating a lot of that new movie on an old story type situation. It's just like a Marvel. You know, they're making their movies and they, you know, they're just remaking old stories. They're taking multiple, like whatever the top story is from any like particular storyline that they have, like they're gonna just take it and just put it in the whatever movies that they're making at the time.
It's tough because what's Wolverine known for? Fighting Sabretooth. You know, what are the X-Men known for? Fighting Sentinels. It's not the visual of the Sentinels. That was the story arc or era that people cared about the most. So therefore, we got to get to that as quick as possible. Therefore, Sentinels are in one of the movies as a throwaway. You know, the Silver Surfer throws in Galacticus. Why? Because that's the story arc. And if you don't, you know, they're running things based on the story arcs. And it's a very strange thing to sort of see, like, okay, that's what we're doing. We're just gonna start feeding off of the story arcs. And it's like, yeah, we're gonna rehash stories. That's what we're rehashing. We're bringing back, we're rebooting stories over and over again. How many times are we gonna see Superman come to Earth in a rocket ship and start get the job at the Daily Bugle, almost Daily Planet? Like, how many times are we gonna tell that same story? Superman.
A remake that didn't make any sense to me, or that it didn't make sense that this wasn't successful. Like I thought that this was going to be a great movie, great part 2, you know, and but it ended up not successful.
What was that?
Firestarter.
Oh wow. Okay.
I
Yeah.
went back. That's what Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
Her first. Yeah. So the first one was awesome.
Yeah.
We could sit down and watch it right now and probably do a commentation and you know it'd really be good.
Yeah. Brilliant movie.
But that second one though.
Yeah, that's barely registered in the memory.
Nah, it's like if you watched it, you put it out your mind. You can't even remember it now.
Wow.
I mean, no credit or fault to the people. I guess all fault to the people involved, but like, you know, I don't want to be like dissing, you know, Firestarter 2 or whatever, because you know it was still I guess it's a movie or whatever, but it was in the shadow of number 1, and number 1 was so good that it's like, it didn't continue the story in a way that it felt like it was a cohesive story, like from part 1 to part 2. Like part 2 seemed like something totally different and like disappointing. You know, but I think that I think most sequels are like that, but if they make enough money, it's okay.
Yeah. This is one of those secret things that I hesitate to even say because it probably shouldn't be said, but who knows how many people are going to see this or ever find out that I said this. But there's a sinister truth about making movies and media, and truth that we probably shouldn't be speaking about is that fans are unimportant when it comes to making art and furthering your own creative goals. And I know it sounds crazy, but fans are unimportant when it comes to to influencing the creative aspect. And the dilemma is like when you're dating someone, and this is my analogy. This is a weird analogy, but I'm gonna go with it anyway. And you say, "Man, I love it when you do X, Y, Z," and the person goes, "Really?" And now, as often as they can, they start doing X, Y, Z, and it loses its genuine. It loses something because now they're deliberate and not doing it naturally, but doing it to please you. And it's the slight difference is now that person isn't going to try new things because you've sort of given them a limitation of what they like. And when fans are listened to too much, the thing that makes fans gets lost. And if you want to talk about creativity, the highest level of creativity is making fans, not pleasing fans you already got. And I know if you put that on a balance, you would say to anybody, what would you rather be? Would you rather make an album that makes fans for you or one that's trying to please fans you've already got? Which one is harder? Which one is more difficult? Which one is catching that lightning in the bottle? And sometimes people think they're doing good to a property by trying to please the fans instead of understanding what it took to make the fans in the first place. And if you could do that, you're going to satisfy all parts of the equation. Because a lot of times it's like the living example is the Terminator movie. The Terminator movie has the line in it, "I'll be back." And the Terminator goes into the police station and they tell him like they can't help him or something. And Arnold leans over and he says, "I'll be back."
The whole time he was just surveying the place.
Yes. And then when he technically comes back, he drives the car through the wall and crashes into that cop at the front desk. And when he crashed the car through the door, that's when that line became funny. Like, that's when I howled, like, holy cow, he said he'd be back. And then he came back, but he came with a car. That was crazy. They drove the car through the police station. Yo, that was nuts. And you forget that the crazy part of that scene is him driving the car through the wall. That's what makes that scene hot, not the phrase. But if you just watch from a how can I please the fans? And you see the fans get excited when they hear that phrase. They got excited at that phrase because the car was coming. Not because the line had weight. They're getting excited because it's the teaser to the car that's coming. So now, 5 movies later, when he says, "I'll be back," it has no weight because there's no punchline. You're just saying that as a tropey thing because in every movie he says it and it's a gag. But it doesn't have the same meaning because it's not backed up by the triggering event. And that's what all these movies keep doing, where you're trying to do this fan service weirdness, where you keep shoving these things out there. And now they're cognizant, like, all right, we need more catchphrases. Say something clever here. Yippee-ki-yay, say something clever at the end, say something memorable. And we start trying to make these artificial moments instead of just making an awesome movie and let the fans pick it out for themselves. Let me pick it out. If there's things that just happen. Sometimes actors just do it. Sometimes you just capture a moment. Sometimes you just get lucky. That's art also. There's a luck involved where you just put together something and you look at it and you go, holy cow, this is insane. Speaking of which, this is one of my favorite pictures. And again, this is no different than me putting her in a million poses, grabbing a gun and shooting it. But, something about this picture just grabbed me. I can artistically sit back and go, well, it's probably the way the color curves around, the way the purple traces around the character and gives her a perfect outline, the balance of the Gatling gun and the character, the angle, the glasses, the way the cape is bouncing up and makes a nice little frame, and the angles of the shot look great, and the colors are really nice. But when I'm trying
to figure out why more than one barrel is shooting. Gatling gun.
It's the blur effect because it's rotating so fast. You're seeing blur and light flares. Stop it, you. You know, and there's like times when you just do an image and it just captures something. And you go, oh my goodness, that's crazy right there. I love the way that happens. And it's like not always a thing, you know. The reason why artists are so terrible at business is because creativity is based on imagining something and then manifesting it. So we see something in our mind and then we go out, and then we go about creating it. And to keep interested and inspired in art, a lot of times you need a surprise. Like it's not really engineering where you need to know how things are going to work out. You know, it's not like a regular science where there's a lot of experimentation. You know, this is the kind of thing where you know, in science you can experiment and say, well, let's see what happens. Let's mix these two together and see what happens. A lot of that is also art. And if you get a good result, you write it down for next time. Or you at least memorize it and go, well, that came out dope. Write down what you did. Remember those settings. Remember to try it again in another picture or hone it or see what you did and try to capture it again. You know, I bite myself. This picture right here, I fell in love with it. I thought it was awesome. I thought the orange in the hair and the orange background, I thought there was some kind of certain synergy between this element and everything else. And I put mental note, backgrounds and the characters. And I just do it again in season 3. But that's where that idea came from. I'm copying myself because I saw my result. I liked it. And I said, okay, mental note. The backgrounds merging with the characters. We got to explore that. We're going to explore that and do it a little bit different, but we're going to make that something. But that's me, you know, learning from myself and copying my own engine. But, you know, like I'm saying, when it comes to that, there has to be room for spontaneity. And as an artist, you will imagine things, and then on the way, you discover new destinations. While you're trying to get to a certain place, you end up at another awesome destination. And you say, I didn't really try for that, but boy, that came out great too. You know, I'm gonna keep this. As my art teacher once said, anything you don't correct is not a mistake. Yeah, take credit for it. The pen slipped on your hand and you made the curve a little bit different than you thought, or the picture came out when you put the colors together, it looks a little bit different. Take credit for it. You did it, your hand willed it into existence. Sometimes that's also the problem with business, where you do believe what's in your imagination is what's going to manifest. And you do have a vision for yourself of how your life's going to go or how your art career is going to go. And you're not really open to idea. That's why artists are the hardest to convince to let something go or pick something up. I'm not going to mention names. Well, no one knows who this person is anyway, but there's an artist that said he had a record deal on the table. And he came to me and he said, you know, they want my music. They're going to put my album out. They're ready to sign me today. And I said, okay, so you're gonna give them this music? And he said, no, I'm working on this project for the summer first. And I said, hold on, you got a label ready to give you a record deal and sit down and talk real money with you, fly you around, and you're worried about some project you were already working on? And you're gonna make sure you finish that first? And I said, you're insane. Like, I don't care how long I was working on that project. I switch over to the biggest, most lucrative thing and get it done. You can always come back. But he said, no, I'm not going to work on their stuff until I get this vision that I had to come to fruition. I understand he spent a whole winter planning this big summer with his project. So in his mind, he had all this worked out already. And now right before the summer, he meets some people, they sit down and go, let's do something with you. And he tells them, hold on and wait till after the summer because I have a vision of what I'm going to do with my career.
So what, he lost out?
Of course he did. But that's part of what I talk about is your imagination. There's things that I do today. Again, this is only me with older man wisdom, because in my youngest years, you know, someone would say, why don't you go do this? And I would say, I ain't going to do that. I have a vision. I know how I'm going to come out. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to be like this. And the crowd's going to say this. And I'm going to come out like this. And they're going to think of me like that. And you think you have some sort of vision that you can will your future into fruition because you're imagining it hard, like how you do with your art. That's why artists sometimes are the worst business people, because you have a vision and you don't just sit and think opportunities. What doors open? I got to get in somehow. You know, there's a guy right now working on a comic book, and another opportunity presents itself, and he says, "No, I got to finish this book." There's someone else doing something else, and another person says, "Yo, here's an opportunity. Why don't you illustrate this?" And they say, "No, because I have this other thing I planned on doing. I can't do that right now." And you don't sort of look for the path of least resistance. A lot of this is just, honestly, part of the psyche. And, as you like to say, the caveat is the opposite, is the bonus to that is you can't give 100% of yourself into something unless you believe. Like you have to believe in something 100% to dive in and spend that time. If someone says we may use this report, we may not use it, you don't want to spend the 8 hours in a row sitting in a chair working on it. If they tell you they might use it on Monday, they might not. That's when it's hard. But when you believe that you're going to make a debut, it's going to be wonders for your career, and you're going to submit
Right.
your report and read it off, and they're going to fight. Yeah.
If it's the people from the LA Times and you want to be a journalist, like you might want to submit that anyway.
Yeah.
It might not run.
Yeah. Well, that's you know what? That's back to the whole thing of being disciplined.
Yep.
That's discipline. I don't think they're going to use it, but I need just in case. There's a risk involved. They might
Like
use it.
you don't think about the stuff like when you're young anyway. You don't really think about the stuff like I want them used to calling me. They need extra content.
Oh my God, that's deep. My God, that's deep. Yeah. Well, you know what? That brings us to our other point is getting a project done. I want to turn to what we talked about, which was completing a project. So if you're a writer and you say, I want an artist to illustrate my stuff, you ought to have written some things. You ought to have a written portfolio, right? If you're an artist and you say, I want to get into sequential comics, you ought to have some pages of sequential comics.
Right.
You ought to have something that explains what you do, what you got. You ought to complete something. And a lot of times, I've jokingly said, the worse my project can ever become is a demo of what I'm capable of. Like I'm gonna accomplish this thing and finish it, and it will be my calling card. If it comes out, doesn't sell a single unit, doesn't do anything for me ever in life, boy, is it gonna make um a great demo. you know Boys, so you can see what I do, and it's not a speculation anymore. you know
Right.
the other thing I'm going to ask you about, and you made a good analogy about work, is that whatever you want to do in life, you're going to have to do for free at first, especially entertainment. No one's going to make your first attempt at something a paid gig. So
You
if
gotta pay the dues.
yeah, if not for someone else, for yourself at least, you can't wait to be paid for your first well-written story. You can't say, well, when I get paid, I'll really write well. Or when I get paid, I'll really put on my art skills. I'll put on my art hat when I get paid.
So when I started photography, right, I had my rap crew and we needed our own art, right? So I picked up the camera, but film was very expensive.
Mm.
I had to figure out a way to pay, and so I heard that publications would pay for your film in development. Oh, what? So where are the publications at, and how do I get in there? So I the biggest hip hop magazine there was Rap Pages.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
So
yeah.
the source was bigger, but like the source was in New York and Rap Pages was in LA. So like Rap Pages, I can knock on their door. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
that's it. I went in, and it was in the Flint building. It was like a big high rise building on Wilshire, and walked in there. You have to like go to the ninth floor. You have to go to the very top just to go to whatever floor. That's how they had their like security. So you have to go in, and you talk to the security guard. Then you have to say, because I had figured out a plan how to get in. First day, I just kind of like bogarted in. I didn't have no appointment. So I was like, you had to ask for somebody specific at the magazine, right? So I knew who to ask for. So I asked for that person, and they let me in to go up to the 9th floor. So on the 9th floor, the receptionist was there, and then they would contact whoever that person was that you was going to visit, and then buzz you in because the elevators they wouldn't go to those floors. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So I did that. So I got in the office for the photo editor. And, it turns out that the photo editor was a real nice brother, and was a really dope photographer, too. A really dope photographer. And he basically took me under his wing, and, I was working, So, all right, so, like, the real story is, the first time I went in there, he was like, dude, you ain't got no book. Where's your work? Where's
Oh
your
my
portfolio?
God.
Right? I had nothing. I didn't even have a picture. So he was like, look, I got to kick you out. I'd love to work with you, but you don't have no portfolio. I can't see if you're even able to do the work. So I was like, okay, well, I left my portfolio at home, right? I'll go get it, and I'll bring it back, right? So he was like, okay, we'll come back in a week with your portfolio, right? So I went, I took as many pictures as I could of all types of crazy stuff. Took them to the developer. I had all types of different films. I had like slides, and I had some negatives in there. Like you're gonna look at the negative and say, "Oh wow," you know what I'm saying? I had some prints, 4x6 mainly, a couple bigger prints, but it was just a trash portfolio. I wish I still had it now. I'd like put it in the frame, but I got with them. And it was with a 3-ring binder. Right.
Wow.
So,
With punched holes? Are you telling me it had punched holes?
Yes, it had punched holes in them, and I had slides that I had in there. And I didn't even have like a ring, the slide ring where you could like look at it. It's the film days. I was just trying. I didn't know what I was doing, but I had a portfolio, and I showed it. And in that portfolio, it showed that I could go to a place, see something, take a picture of it, and then bring that picture back, and it'd be a clear picture, right? So that's kind of like the basis of photojournalism. Like, if there's something happening, take a picture of it, and then your picture be able to read what's happening, what had happened. You know what I'm saying? That story has to come out of that photo. It's a very, very difficult task. I'm not saying that I was like some sort of like genius expert, but I did just enough to get him to justify me getting paid to take pictures. So I think what the first picture that I got published was Ice Cube holding his daughter in at the Family Values tour, when he toured with all the rock bands and stuff like that. So that was like my first picture that I got paid for, and it was just on after that. So it was like that was maybe like a month after I picked up the camera.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So like I started doing photography and was like going to events. I was talking to people in the street, getting clients, and people was hiring me. So I shot this all girls like motorcycle group. That's that grouping right there. So what are they standing on, a cube?
Yeah, that's the episode is called Building Blocks. That story arc is called Building Blocks. So I'm playing with the phrase building blocks. And that's why they're standing on blocks.
Those ships are fucking. Excuse me.
I knew he was gonna do that sooner or later.
Yo, but look, if they're in space, why they? Oh, they're not in space though. Those clouds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very, very intricate.
Yeah.
I feel like it would take me an hour to draw just like one wing.
3D, my friend. Well, everyone else is doing it. They're drawing over 3D objects. Everyone else is doing it.
Oh, you know what? You know what? You know what's super annoying? I don't like this, right? I don't like when they get the photo, like a picture of somebody's face, and they the photo,
Yeah.
and then they try to act like they're some type of tight artist. So it's like, dude, you're a kindergartner can do that.
Yeah, that's rough.
But you know,
There's a lot of weird stuff going on, man. There's a dude that was you know, if my channel ever goes dark, maybe we'll start to blow people up. But there's a guy who takes pictures and puts it through a filter and then says he drew it. That's nuts. People have found the original picture he's tracing over. And it's weird. Like he'll be like Beyonce. And it'll be a picture of Beyonce through like one of them like cartoon filters where it like does the outline. And then he'll put that on Facebook and say this is his newest drawing. And or he'll take like a picture, like there'll be like a picture of I forget the model's name, but it's like one of them upward camera angles, and like she's in front of a bunch of buildings. And the person put, I'm practicing perspective drawing by tracing over a picture that was upward angled at a bunch of, you know, the city skyline. And it's like, you know, some people say that's just what crazy people do, but I think that's just the wildest thing, that you're gonna spend
yeah.
your time doing that. That's just wild to me.
If I was gonna teach perspective drawing, I don't know how many times I would have the students actually do that activity. Like I don't really see the benefit of tracing over a perspective. Like I feel like if you're like doing a portrait or you're doing a comic book or whatever, and you're saying, well, for speed, I'm gonna go ahead and trace this background.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I
Perfect.
can understand that. That you know, making that a piece of
Yeah, your art, but it would be just weird to me to trace over an actual picture and then just upload it and say I drew this. And that was like a month ago I saw that. And I didn't, you know, again, you don't want to start fighting people on Facebook and be arguing and blowing people up. But it was just weird to see. Like it, and like someone posted the original picture. And it's like, no, this is the real picture you got it from. You know, and it's like
they blew us by.
oh yeah. I don't do it because, you know, I don't feel like dragging the brand with it, but sometimes it's weird. It's like, why are you doing that?
I feel people are like way too sensitive to be talking. Like somebody will like they'll like comment on something that I commented on, like about my comment, and then they mad about the comment that I make about their comment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you opened this can of worms. You know?
Yeah, I find all of that to be interesting. Again, I'm hoping that this doesn't go too far, but like someone was just rude to another. Like someone posted up one of their pictures, and it needed work. It definitely needed work. You know, it's like a beginner's picture, and it needed work. And someone was like just, you know, slagging on it, and they were just rude. You know, no foul language, but like the person got banned, and they were using all sorts of foul language about the person. And it was like crazy how the language about the person making the comment was harsher than what the person said. And it's like, how does that work? Where you're like upset this person was harsh, so you're calling him all sorts of names. Like that's worse. And it's like, and all he did was just be rude. Like, so the bar for today is if you're rude, you got to get, you know, banned and thrown off the group because you're just rude. Like our bar sensitivity has now gone to rude. That's crazy. And it's like, well, what's the point then? Like, what's the point of having any of the interactions then? Like, we might as well stay to what we're doing now. Just put something up, hope for 3 or 4 likes, and keep it moving. Because anything else is inviting, you know, a can of worms or attention.
Just disable all the comments.
Yeah,
Okay.
you might as well upload your video and then disable all the comments on it so that you don't have to sit there and, you know, have someone mention all sorts of craziness while you're trying to do your stuff.
I argued with this lady on her YouTube art channel about her art, and she disabled her comments. I thought that was kind of whack.
Yeah, I mean,
and I think she blocked me too because I wasn't able to email her. It got real funny.
It
like
gets well. How about this? What did you say?
she did a review on these Tri Plus pencils, and they were pencils that they. Have you ever seen the type of colored pencils with different colors inside of the lead?
Okay.
So like you make a line, and
It goes from like blue to green, and then from green to something else.
Yeah, so they have different color setups. So she had like a 12-pack, and so she, was already like, she started off saying that they were like trash art supplies, and so then she did like an art piece, which was a trash art piece, and was like, look at the results. And so I said, well, look, the design that you used was bad. The technique that you used with the pencils was non-existent. Like, you didn't even use technique. You just did one coat. Who does that with colored pencils? Very directional with your strokes, and then the actual shapes of what it is that you were trying to draw just wasn't even good. It wasn't that cute of a flower. You know what I'm saying? So, so you're saying that these pencils was whack, but I feel like you didn't even push them to even see. And so then, so that's the first thing that I said. And so then she replied to that. And so that's like, look, I'll give you some examples. So I went back into her history, and I was like, okay, in this video that you uploaded, on this date, you actually use colored pencils, and you have 3 coats, 4 different colors. You know what I'm saying? And you even talk about the technique that you're actually using as far as how you're stroking, how you're doing it in different directions, and why that's important. So if you go back and look at this video, you'll see that you didn't do any of that. So of course you're going to get whack results. You could have got your best pencil and did that same thing, the same strokes, and it's not going to look good.
Yeah, you're gonna get blocked.
Yeah, she blocked the hell out of me.
Yeah. Well, the dilemma is when it comes to comments and artistic criticism is that you get a lot of people that clump together. So once someone says something negative, it attracts everyone else start going that same direction. You put up a picture and someone says, "Oh my God, I love the clouds." Someone else gonna pop on and go, "I saw that too. I really liked him. I like the way he did it." Someone else pops up. "Yeah, my friend does stuff like that, and he uses this to do his clouds. They really add an atmospheric feel to the artwork." And you keep going in that direction with the clouds.
So
Someone.
I commission you to do my little card for my comment.
Why not?
To design a vehicle.
Not for free. I'm just kidding. But
I want you not even listening. See, you already jumped to the conclusion. My statement was, I'm gonna repeat my sentence.
Okay.
How much would you charge me to create a simple vehicle?
I'm gonna blow you up. I'm gonna blow you up.
Oh, that's dope too.
Hold on, I'm gonna blow you up right now. I'm in my studio. I am reaching back on my desk. I don't know if you guys at home can see this, but this is season 4 of 4-6. So this actually isn't going to exist till next year. So right now, I think my series is at episode 39. So this is up to like episode 48 or 49. I can't remember. But these books aren't due out till next year, like 6 months into next year. I'm that far ahead in the 4-6 series.
Yeah, that's very smart.
Yeah, well, I'm teaching these classes, which has removed any free time that I've got. So I haven't been able to work on comics for who knows how long now. So it looks like if I just got lucky that I had this crazy zone at the beginning of the year. So I'm opening the book. I don't want to start to mess with these Twitch settings because I barely got the thing working as it is. But Kablam printed my books. They're going to be on Indie Planet. But this is the giant, you call this a tome. But if you could see, where's my camera? If you could see, you're doing good, Drew. If you could see, this is the 4-6 series, a giant ass book. This is 17 episodes in one giant book. I don't know how dark it is.
You are not putting that in your back pocket.
Yeah, I'm gonna blow this up. So this is this is next year's books that are coming out all through the rest of this year and next year. And this is the new, oh my gosh, look at the art. Crazy. But anyhow, This might be for sale in a couple of weeks. I don't know when they're gonna clear it and allow me to start shipping or whatever. But this is the 4-6 book. So
So look, why don't you number your pages?
because I don't always know the page count. So for digital, which the books are birthed from, the page count is on the bottom of the page. So when you're reading it on the internet, it says page, 12, 13, 14, 15. On the browser, it tells you the page number. But because I used to use the full bleed, I never used to put the page numbers because the entire page was art. If you remember, the pictures used to go off the borders of the page. I used to love the full bleed look. So there was never room to put a little 5, 6, page 27.
So what are you using to actually lay out your comic? Are you using Photoshop for like all your actual panels in your text?
Choice D, all the above. So
Photoshop,
yes, Photoshop is the backbone, and it's an old version of Photoshop. I know people might try to hate on the kid, but
yeah,
let me
all
minimize. I don't know if you can see my desktop now, but I actually have whatever it is, the current thing that they have. I just renewed my my yeah, I have the photography one. So it's like all the different photo based editing stuff. So I do have it, but because I'm so fast in the old CS5, I just stick to that, even though I have the new one also. And only for some of the new features do I jump into the new one. But really, like everything, almost whatever. I don't want to say that because that's gonna be a problem. But it just gets the job done, and I'm very fast. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I only use the new one for the new features. But that said, did we not send you a book for free? Big as it is, expensive as it was to ship.
I got 2 books, so
Well, you're right. You got, matter of fact, what's the other one? You got 2 books. Several books. You got 2 books from us with no, and you said send me the bill. Did we send you a bill?
Hey, listen, I ain't complaining.
And now, for those you,
what's the point of all this?
And for those you at home, he still said, "How much it gonna cost me to design a car for him?" This is my boy right here. We go back.
Well, you know what? I know what it said to get the situation started, right? Because if I said, "Hey, man, design a car," you're not serious, right? So why am I gonna take my time from doing 4-6 to dealing with your situation? You ain't serious.
Well, now you cranking out art at a crazy rate. If this was like 2-3 months ago, I might have put you on the back burner. You're not playing now. I don't know who this guy is.
This is who you. I could have been doing this shit. Excuse me. Oh, we're not on live no more. We are on live still.
Yeah.
I could have been doing this back in 2001, but I was focused on photography.
Yeah, you were killing that too. That book you had back then, but it is what it is. But yeah, so I'll design it. Send I guess we'll at some point we'll kick it and you give me an idea of what you're interested in and what you want to get, and we'll start to pick out some camera angles, whatever it is that you're trying to get a handle on, whatever it is that you're liking. But yeah, man, crazy. And that's like I said, the point of sometimes going first. I always get people who just kind of assume that everything falls together. They always ask me to do something or work on something, and you're kind of like, I've got a full series. I'm not gonna commit to that. Like I've said to the universe, I've spoken. I would love to see what's gonna thrill me more than this. If there's a next after this that's gonna take my attention away, I would love to know what it is because it's got to be incredible. If it's gonna pull me out of this, it's got to be incredible. So
Look, King Sword here. Can he hold it at the base? What is after the glowing green stops, right? And you got the 2 little slashes. Like, can he grip that?
What part? Oh, we're back to the sword picture. I gotta go back a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can hold that part?
Yeah.
So what's special about the green?
When you hit a button on the sword, it becomes electrified and can cut through things, and the blade becomes electrified. But you're looking at the difference between just plain LED lights, which is what the handle is, and the actual blade itself that gets activated, which is the part upper on the blade.
Okay.
So just because it's a green LED doesn't mean it's made of the same stuff.
It just looks similar.
Yes, but it's not blade material or energy. I mean, it's a vibrating sword, to be honest, but who cares about that kind of stuff?
Right. So yeah, so like I have to get. I should have been on my passion, my mission back then. Like I kind of was, but like you know, I didn't believe that it could pay for me. Like it would be able to support me.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So it got limited effort, right? So if somebody else was, co-signing and doing something, it was a lot easier for me to believe. So that's why I was able to go in there to Vanguard Media and do their work, and I could do that at a really high level. But when I wanted to do my own, it ended up not even getting finished because I just didn't put the effort towards it. I would always switch my efforts back towards,
What was getting
whoever,
you paid?
what was getting me paid, right? So,
That's understandable. I don't think anyone could really have a problem with that. That's sensible. That's what goes on.
I mean,
Shoot.
and I had a good time doing photography in New York. I would go back to that anytime. Having to deal with models and stuff like that.
Well, you say you didn't like New York women.
Nah, I didn't date at all in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a no go. I did date some, so I'm not gonna say that I didn't have anybody, right? Because I know there's to be some girls. If we get popular, they'll be like, that's not true, right?
Yeah.
But it was difficult, and the girls in New York are mean. See, I'm from LA. Everybody smiling. We happy out here. It don't snow. It don't rain hard. No hurricanes. The only fear we got as far as weather is earthquakes. And that's scary. But that don't always happen. You know what I'm saying? So, but so I think that it breeds just a nicer person. Like we can go to the beach in February. I remember one Christmas, it was Christmas Eve, I rode to the beach and it was like hot enough to get in the water without like looking ridiculous. Like it was like hot.
That's Cali. What you expect?
California, yeah. It's wonderful out here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so but you have to be able to focus. Like I wish I could have I wish that I would have dedicated like all my free time to creative exploits. Like when I was like writing like the Prowls novel, I wish that I would have like finished it. You know what I'm saying? Like focused and said, look, I'm not gonna do anything else until I finish. So like in a way, like I respect what you were saying about your boy. I mean, I think it was dumb that he had money on the table and he messed it up. But being able to finish something that's a skill into itself.
Yeah.
Especially if you got other things going on. Doing something that's outside of your job. Like I was trying to write a novel, while trying to also be a professional photographer. While also trying to figure out how to illustrate for the magazine whenever I can. You know what I mean? I was trying to. I talked to this. I did a lot when I was in New York, but it was a lot of different directions
To get pulled in.
Right. You got to pick one thing and finish that thing.
Well, that's going to bring us back to art, where we talked about not starting out with your most epic, giant, long project and focus on something small and get, again, if you're talking about comics, get the 1 page done first, then get
Right.
5 pages and make a short little story. Tell a short story to show and learn how to create stories, to develop your style, figure it out.
So here's how I kind of implemented that in my own life, right? So, I want to do this comic book, right? Comic book is a real long and hard situation, right? So, I'm like, well, I also have to build my skills, right? So I could like trudge through this comic book where issue 1 be basically trash, and then later on issues would be much better. But I'm like, well, look, I should do this challenge, and so the challenge will then bring out that style. It will then bring out.
So this is Inktober.
Yes, the Inktober thing. So it's a smaller task, right? And then it's a task made of even smaller tasks. You're just gonna do one drawing for today, and it's just make it on this theme, whatever it is you want to do. Each day is a different one. So. But if you're putting in, your effort, right, like you're gonna get quality results. So and doing that, you don't necessarily have to do Inktober. Like you could do any type of challenge. That's gonna relate to whatever it is you want to build up. Like if you wanted to do, like if you wanted to video edit, like I'm sure there's someplace online on Reddit somewhere. It's a video editing challenge, something to do every day that's going to increase your video editing skills.
Yeah.
So don't get confused by the cinnamon challenge.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Yeah, you just Google it. I'll let you find out, and then you can tell me later.
Shoot, that might be dangerous.
There's a bunch of people that are listening right now laughing. You don't know what the. So the cake looks good right here with the robot.
Oh yeah.
What's the robot called?
Beta 2, probably. Season 2, Beta 2.
I actually, in that first picture with the Gatling gun, but yeah, I didn't like the cape in that. Like I was looking at it like maybe like I don't know, a couple minutes before you started saying that, and I actually didn't like the cape. I thought the cape was distracting. But the cape in this one right here, this green cape with the yellow, that's good. So it just switched to this girl with her hair. That's good. Oh yeah, you're going too fast for me to comment. I'm gonna go back to drawing.
Yeah.
Turn it up. That's a subtle way of saying change the subject.
Man, oh man. Yeah, I like this one with the robot. This is the Arthur unit. I think we are looking at season 3. So, like I said, the creative idea here to do wallpapers, to put the art to use. There's a lot of times that when you're working on something, you create a frame and it just shows up in the book and people just breeze past it. And then I come back and I stare at the frame and I see the picture in isolation. I go, man, that's a good looking picture, man. Oh man. And that's when, I pull it up and I can blow it out like this and then spend the time just staring at it, turn it into a desktop wallpaper. I love some of these. But yeah, it's weird when you do a book like this and you realize, like, not spoiling it for anyone who doesn't read the series, but when you sort of know who lives, who dies, what everyone's fate is, sometimes it is a little weird, like I have my own artistic weirdness where once a book is finished, I can't go back and make extra art using the assets. So
why not?
it just doesn't feel like it's official. Like if I finish a series, I get like a week that I can go in and use the assets again before it feels like I'm picking the bones of something that's already done or
That's
milking
pure,
something. Yeah,
that's pure silliness.
it is. I get it. I'm just like that. Like I wouldn't want to open a scene from scene one and make new images unless I was doing a repair. But it just doesn't. It feels like you're not that guy anymore. That was like 3 years ago. You're not even him. And you're gonna go back and try to open up that old art and try to pull some more out of it. It's like, nah.
What about the people that like old him?
They're gonna get a whole season of it. And that's the good thing about being productive. I say, I gave you 12 of those books. Like that's it.
Old him only exists in those pictures. You ain't old him. You knew you.
Yeah, well, he got you. The guy who made that picture did an entire year long of comics. You got plenty to read. Go read that.
Oh, wow.
And it's the same feeling. You know what? I'll tell you this feeling. This is the same feeling I get when I work on music. When I make an album, people will say like, "Oh, your songs sound so different. Use a different cadence, different speed, different flow, different subject. Like the way you construct your music is completely different for every song." And what you don't know is that when I make a song, the one before it and the one after it sound just like it.
Right. You just don't
Because
hear them.
yeah, when I made like pick any song, let's put a song up. We going in tonight. Why not? We can do this. We're going to throw up on the screen one of my songs, and let's pick.
Invincible Iron Warrior.
No, we're not gonna play that.
That's the title of. That's my favorite.
You're not. Yeah, that one is dope. I can't front. That's dope. But let's play.
Did I say the title correctly?
No.
Invincible Gold Champion.
Yes, that's the record. But let's go with Gear Lust.
If that's your favorite.
You're one of my favorites. This,
I like the one.
can you hear the audio? Let's skip the audio. This is the song.
I'm at Sam Ash, your credit card in a flash. A little stash of spending cash, smooth the salesman ass. AS on my grass, I cashed out, did the dash, ran out, credit maxed out.
I didn't like Your Love.
Credit maxed out.
I was like, that song is corny. I don't know. Like, what's he talking about? You know what I'm saying? I was like, all right, he got the his video's quality or whatever. But it kind of grew on me, after I kind of like heard it. Like I put it on, like I said, I was driving Uber and I put this playlist together with like all your songs. And so I had, in my mind, I had intended not to put that song on the playlist, but for some reason I accidentally put it on there. And so it kept playing. Then I was like kind of listening to it. I was like, okay, so I understand what he's talking about. I kind of have that gear lust for things. I'm sitting in front of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of unopened coloring utensils.
And you're still gonna get some more.
I got 5 or 6. Yeah, I got another one over there that I just got in the mail. Yeah, so. Again, I get it.
Yeah, so what that leads to is once you make that song, you think that's the greatest thing ever, and you want to make a million more of those. And that's where I run into my situation where, I have that going, and I'm like, yo, I gotta make another one of those. And you set out to make another song that sounds just like it, because in that period of time that you made it, that's the best thing you've ever done. So I want another song to sound just like that one. And I've done that before where you make that first record and you go, yo, the whole album's going to sound like this. And then you do the second song and you're like, you switch it up and you do something completely different. And that's how it is with comics the same way. Like once I did a certain story, I'm like, yo, I should do another one of those. I love the way the ending was. I like the dynamic of the characters and the action. I got to do that again. And it's like, no, because if you don't open the door for other books and other stories and other scenes and other environments. If this one had agility fighting in a tournament. and he battled a guy in the ring, and it was a whole thing about him fighting, and it was the match. I went through the match itself and showed a bunch of fighting in it. And it's like when I had finished that book, I was like, oh, I have another idea for him in a match. Oh, I got a guy he gonna fight, and here's how the story's gonna go, and I'm gonna flip it like this. And it's like, yeah, put that on the back burner because we just did that. Like, let's not just keep stuck in a loop and keep doing the same thing over and over again. And that's where sometimes that can happen, where you do something and then you feel like just copying yourself over and over again. Same thing with music, same thing with comics. Sometimes I want to copy a page. I like the way something looks. You want to keep people in a certain area because of the way the lighting or the action scene comes out. You want to extend it and you're milking it. And it's like, yeah, it can feel the same way. And it's like, you don't want to just keep recreating the same thing over and over again. You don't grow. Stay doing the same thing, not challenging yourself. There's always a challenge to around the corner. Are you gonna, are you gonna meet it? Are you gonna try something new? Get out of your comfort zone. Be uncomfortable. Challenge. There's always a challenge. Every book presents me with a different challenge. Something I've never tried before. Something I didn't quite think I would have to do. The first time it was rain. I said, man, how do I do rain? I have no idea how to do rain. And I teach in the class, there's 3 ways to go about rain. You can literally put raindrops in your scene. That's one way of approaching it. You could put the look of rain, which is like a panel that looks like it's raining. Or third, don't do the rain until you're done and add the rain last and make the scene look like it was raining. And there's no rain in the scene. So like there's so many ways to approach it. You're never really sure which way to go, which way is the most economical, the most sensible, which way gives me the best effect at the end, what looks the most real. Should I put lightning here on his feet, or should I just make it look like there was lightning on his feet? Like, that's a question that I'm going to have to cover and make a decision. Do I want to put lightning there or not? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I also find that I don't want to repeat myself. If I make a song and the first thing I always do is turn on a certain keyboard, then I go to a certain drum machine, and then I play the bass, and then I record, like sometimes I get tired of that and it's time to switch it up and just work a different way to freshen it up. And sometimes that's the reason why you want multiple ways to get to the same destination so that the trip can be fresh. And I don't want to keep doing the same thing for 12 hours straight, repeating. That would make you go crazy. Got to switch it up.
Yep.
I do love this stuff, though. I ain't going to pretend I don't. A lot of fun. It is a lot of fun,
World champion belt with lights.
Huh? Love that stuff. Love that kind of stuff. The crazier, the better. The more nutty, the better. But yeah, you get to a point where it's like, what are we doing this for? What are we in this for? What's supposed to happen? What's my end result? Where am I looking to end up at the end of this? And sometimes I look at the beginning and I say, what was this guy thinking when I first started? The guts, the gall of that guy to think he was going to just show up and do some craziness and it was going to work out somehow. Somehow he was going to make it work out. Sometimes that's that nuttiness that an artist needs. That you have a vision that no one else can see. You see something and no one else can see it until you do it. There's a lot of things I've done that people didn't understand until I did it. And people, you could describe it, but I'm sure everyone can name something that no matter how much you described it, it doesn't prepare you for the experience. And you can describe it, you could look at it, you could see pictures, diagrams, charts. Everyone tell you their stories, but until you go and live it yourself, you just don't, you just can't really grasp it. So many things are like that. You got to go through the door. Sometimes you can't open that second door until you go through the first one. You don't know what's there. And I've seen that before, people with their projects where they're projecting what they're going to do on step 10 when they haven't completed step 1.
Right.
And you'll say, like, look, everyone that hits step 4 changes their mind. And this person doesn't really have that in their experience base to ever think they could change their mind on something. There's lots of things I was opposed to until I got more experience. And then now you realize, it's an acquired taste thing. You don't insult a baby for liking applesauce. Don't insult the baby for eating applesauce. But then maybe ask the teen, why are you eating applesauce instead of just grabbing an apple? Like, why are you still preferring to eat it as applesauce? You could just grab an apple. Grab an apple right there. Grab the apple. It's a weird thing that we sometimes go through. The same thing with music. I remember when I first heard jazz, I liked every piece of jazz ever. Everything that was jazz, I loved it. Every, no matter what you played, this is crazy. And then eventually, somehow, I just stopped liking so much of it. And I began to like a very narrow style and sound. And it's like that for many things. I just try not to use that to gauge what I think is good and bad. I have a very niche type opinion on things, but I'm not going to use my opinion for what I think is good or bad. I can't tell someone else that this record stinks because I don't like it. And we find that a lot. Like, there's a weird level of arrogance where people try to tell you what you like stinks. And you're like, well, I can't have my own opinion about something. Like, how do you become so learned that your opinion of something overrides mine? It's weird. Like the thing with fans. Did we discuss fans yet? Oh, nope. Man, we never got to the fan discussion.
I never had a fan, so
yeah, you did. Stop it.
I have my whole career. I had one kid run up to me in the mall and say that he seen my work and asked me was I unearthly. My whole life.
Dope.
Yeah, well, it only happened once, so I don't know.
Dope. Yeah. Well, I sort of think about that. I know maybe we'll discuss that another time as I think we're winding down, right? We've done 2 hours. Yeah, we're at 1 hour and 47.
5 minutes.
Yeah, this is a 1 hour and 47-minute session. Not bad. I don't know if you want to do the fan thing. Should we discuss? That's another subject for another day, the whole fan thing. Or you want to tackle it now?
Well, I don't even know what it is.
The thing we're talking about with what's more important, to please a fan or make a fan?
Oh. That's that's
can of worms. Can of worms. Let's not do that. We'll push that off to the next one. But fan wise, it was always a question of moving the field goal, moving the goalpost. And that's what it is with fans. That's why I always like to jokingly say I'm not even a fan of my own stuff. Like, I'm not even a fan, because I'm not going to argue like a fan about something. Because what a fan really is, beyond the great supporter and an enthusiastic person who gets you or gets what you create, like, the reason is that fans feel like they know you is because they understand what you're trying to say through your art. And that says a lot about you as a person. So a person who's reading one of my books or looking at my artwork can tell a lot because of what I'm thinking is good and what I think I want to push forward and what messages I want to deliver. Especially when it's your own creative property and it's not like you're being paid by someone who's really, you're just executing a craft. But, the things that fans switch what's important. And you basically, through life, most people have a belief system, and then anything that supports it, they hold as being accurate and real and a true trusted source. Anything that goes against their view is lesser, not as important. And that's like, if you've never seen that before, watch like two fans argue about a sports team.
Right.
And you hear how many butts come up. Well, where one fan will say, well, you know what? This team won, 5 rings or whatever. And they'll give you an excuse. Well, that's because this guy was hurt. Or that was because it was a shortened season. Or that's because this guy wasn't around yet. Or that was because the league was depleted. Or that was this. And then someone else will say, well, they had these many people on their team. And it's like, is that the excuse that the team isn't good? Like, by naming the factors that make the team good. Like those are things, those are positives. Like, why is my team good? Because they're loaded with talent, because they didn't get as road weary through a shortened season, because, you know, the other people that were playing couldn't stay healthy for the season, which is their advantage, that they stayed healthy. Like, these are all the factors that explain why your team won the 5 rings. But someone is saying that to explain why your team isn't as good as you think they are. And it becomes a weird thing where we're both using the exact same data to prove opposite points. And that's when you talk about fans. Well, you know, this guy never beat so-and-so. I've seen fans say something like, well, you know what? This guy would whip his ass. And you're like, actually, they did fight. They actually did fight. They did fight. They fought 2 years ago. And the person just goes, well, it doesn't make a difference. It's like, what? Like, the thing you just said, this guy, you know, well, if he was really good, he'd have a championship. Actually, he did get a championship when he played with his team. Oh, well, you know, he would get one like this year. And I was like, I think it was last year he got the championship. And it doesn't.
Good that he gets the championship before the championship game is played.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird sometimes where you know, people will forget and not know the stats. And sometimes you change your opinion when you're giving new information. And you'll say, you know, as I've said before, and we're gonna go back into art because I can't get away from it. But I've always said it takes 3 things to validate art. 3 things to validate your art, your creative effort, your energy, whatever it is that you're trying to do in life. It takes 3 things, right? It takes the widest scope is the people that it pleases. That should be the greatest number. The people that it pleases is the audience. The readers validate your stuff. If you don't really know what that means, you can argue ticket sales. How many people went and saw it and liked it? Not just went and saw it and vowed they're never going to go see another one, but, you know, they bought book 1, they're going to buy book 2. Or they sat through one, they're going to sit through another. That's a huge thing, because as an artist, what is the goal of an artist? To create more art. And if you do well enough, you get to create more art. And if things go more, you get to create even more art. So to begat itself or beget itself is what the goal is. To create art's existence is to create more art. And incredible if your art makes another artist. If someone says, I was inspired by your work, so I picked up the pen. You know, I loved your painting, so I started painting. You know, I love what you were saying, so I started, you know, sharing my stuff too. Like, when it begets other artists, that's the most incredible thing. That's the widest scope you're going to get to validate your art. Does it work on an emotional level? Do people like it or hate it if that's your goal? You know, as they say in a lot of sports, booing is as important as cheering. You know, if you're doing the bad guy narrative, boy, do you need those boos. Boy, do you need that vitriol. Boy, do you need that hatred if you're supposed to be the villain. When people say, I hate your villain, I hate the bad guy, you clap and you go, thank goodness. Thank goodness they hate this character. I hated you on that show. Thank goodness. I was the villain. Thank goodness. So that's 1. 2 is your peers. People that do what you do. Who knows the most about that person using those pencils? Someone else who uses them. You wouldn't know that if you were just a person who never used them. You would just be watching it and listening to what they said. But people who know your process, who know what you do, understand how much it takes to do it. People who do what you do. People who draw know how to understand your drawing. They know what you're doing to get your results. They can look at your work and know how much effort you're putting in. They know what it takes to get there. So your peers are very important. And we'll get to the negatives of all of them. And the third, which is, that's the second, probably the second largest pool, is your peers. Because there should be more people enjoying the art than people making the art to keep it healthy and alive.
Right.
You know, the smallest range are the critics. You can give them a bunch of names if you want, gatekeepers. I don't care what name you use for them. But the critics is the smallest amount of people. And they're important because they give you context. They know what your art is in the span of history of the art. So they know that you copied the movie from 1945. A fan might not have seen the old black and white version of your movie. A critic will have. A critic must. If you're doing a remake, the critic must understand the remake. If you're going to make a book version of a movie, the critic had better read the book. You can't criticize or analyze a movie based on a book and you've never read the book. How are you going to do that? How's that not going to be part of your review of the movie? Is to compare it and contrast it with the book that it's from. You better not watch a Captain America movie and never read the first comic and not understand where they got the story from and not understand the context. I'm not saying fully nerd out. I'm just saying you didn't do your research. That's what a critic does. Gives context to what you do. Are you copying someone else? Are you breaking levels? And the reason it takes all three is that anyone can be a bad indicator. You can get 1 million people to go see a movie or a piece of art or a book and it stinks. But 1 billion people bought it. So you can't just rely on that. Critics can take a movie and say, my goodness, the filming techniques he used, boy, did she break the boundaries of what art and cinema is, but no one went to go see it. And people who said it are, oh, this person's a tropey hack. But the critics thought it was just brilliant that you had all these metaphors and meanings in it. Who makes the worst movies, they say? Critics. Because they're hitting technical boxes. Lots of metaphors, lots of analogies, lots of symbolism, lots of meaning, but you're watching a person walk around in a black dress at the beach for 2 hours. But there's all this symbolism, and the rain means this, and the waves meant that. But to a viewer, you're like, yo, this was the most boring junk I've ever seen. And peers will say, well, yeah, who couldn't film a person walking around in a veil at the beach for 2 hours? But only the critics are congratulating themselves. So it takes all three. Your peers could respect your work and say, my goodness, you know how much it takes to make that? You know how hard they worked doing that? You know how long it took to make that? But then you look at it and the end result isn't interesting. It doesn't matter how much work you put into your art if the end result doesn't have an emotional context to it. All these things matter. You don't argue. More people eat fast food than restaurants. That doesn't change the quality of a restaurant food. You don't get to say, well, because fans love it, it must be good. You can't say that. You can't argue that. The more people that consume something, the better the quality is. Those two don't fit together. So it's not about how many people buy your book, how many people engage with your art. That's not the signifier of quality. It's just not. So it takes all three. People who understand what you do, people who understand the history of what's been done before and gonna be done tomorrow, and then finally that emotional interaction with fans that engage with your work. It takes all three. You can be a great success with 2 of 3. You usually can't do it with less than 2 or 3. It's hard to be a success because if everyone goes sees the movie, but it gets trashed, it's still hard to make a part 2. It becomes hard in an industry that's turned against it to make another one. And I'm not going to mention names, but there are movies that made a lot of money. Fans went to go see it. So it got the fans in the theaters, but everyone walked out and said, I don't want to see a piece of trash like that again. And you know what? They don't get to make a part 2. And there's where art fails to give birth to another piece of art. That's what I'm saying the penalty is. You're an artist, you create something, but you don't get to make another one because it failed so terribly. That's horrible for an artist. Horrible. Those things are important. So as an artist, if you understand there's a balance of the 3, if you get all 3 against you, it's time to reevaluate. The same thing, 2 for 3. You put something out, critics didn't get it at the time. Fans loved it. Critics didn't get it, so it got bad reviews. But the people respect you in your own industry for what you created. Those that know what you do appreciate what you did. You're going to get another shot. You're going to get another project. You're going to go from that project that didn't quite go over to another one because you got 2 of the 3. What does that stem from? How many properties are trying to please fans and forgetting the critics and forgetting the peers? And all they're thinking about is fans. Get them in the theater. Get them in there. Get someone to buy the book. We're going to go with a sensational storyline. We're going to take the main character and turn them evil. We're going to take the main character and play and subvert them. Why? Because they're going to go to the theater to see what we did to their character. But they're going to walk out hating it. So you got my $7.99 when I could have went and saw it twice. Well, actually, movies are now 20-something without COVID. But, I spent $18 to go see it once, when if it was really good, I went and saw it twice, and then bought the poster, and then bought the DVD, and then rented it when it came out, and then bought the anniversary, and then bought the director's cut, then bought the special anniversary extended director's cut. And then that franchise would have given birth to an animation version, which would have given a whole nother set of artists a field to play with. And then they would have been adapted to a TV show, which would have given a whole nother bunch of artists free license. That is the goal of the artist, to expand, to spread, to come up with if you're a writer, you want to see your work translated in different mediums. You write a story, you want to see it live. You want to see it as a stage play. You want to see it as a TV series. You want to see it as another movie. You want to see it as everything, because the goal is to spread and share. That's why sometimes, like I've said before, when the dream of the artist is to begat more art. That's the goal. Why do I want to be compensated fairly? So I could buy more art supplies. So I could render faster. That's why. Why do I want you to buy this book? So I can make another one. I don't want to have to spend a year in Kickstarter trying to get money up for my book. Could you just buy it? And can I get enough money to put out another book? Not have to wait 3 years between books? Could we do that?
Maybe.
Well, it would be nice. It would be nice. That's the goal. That's the dream. It's always difficult to balance all these things, because you can't invent more time, and you just can't always just use your time to get more resources. Sometimes you got to use the creativity. How can I go further with less? What can I do creatively to accomplish this challenge without spending more money and time? How can I be more efficient? How can I learn? That's the craft. The more you know, the faster everything gets. When someone says, how long does it take to make a page? Depends on how far you've mastered your craft.
Right.
How do I get better? By doing, by exploring, by practicing, by pushing, by being uncomfortable. Be uncomfortable. Be uncomfortable. It's okay. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's what it takes. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Get used to that pit in the stomach. Have a plan in case it don't work. What you gonna do if it don't work?
Gotta always have that plan B.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
But see, me, I always would activate the plan B.
Early or on time?
I feel like now, in retrospect, it's early.
Mm.
You know, and I came out and I was like, oh, I'm gonna do photography in Los Angeles. I'm gonna do fashion, right? I came out and ended up becoming a teacher. Like,
Well,
I
yeah, that's a special blessing. That's a special blessing, because it's very dangerous as an artist if you write the script of your life before you act out any of the scenes. And that's the danger, that if you said, I must do it in photography, I'm not going to take the blessing of any of these other opportunities. A maze is a bunch of turns, and you have to sometimes turn left to go right, and sometimes you got to double back to get past a roadblock to go forward. You've heard the saying, one step back to take 2 steps forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all of that is part of it. All of that is part of it, and I've found that it could be dangerous when you just say, I'm not going to do anything but what I plan to do. It could be dangerous, and you miss out on that opportunity. You miss out on something right in front of you because you didn't plan on it.
Well, I mean, there's benefits to me becoming a teacher. I feel like I can always go back and get a job. It might not be the job that I want. I don't have to get a job. I can go back and get a career. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's something. I feel like so like if this doesn't work, I have a plan B. You know? But I think that it's important to like really push your plan A, because like if you abandon it, it's like you abandon it. It's not gonna like happen if you don't push it.
Yeah, I've felt that before. When I look back, all I always usually think is I wish I had tried harder at something I wanted. And I've never really looked back and said, "Man, I wish I didn't put so much effort in that." I usually say, "I wish I had done more and gotten to the ending sooner." Like if something isn't going to work, I wish I had worked harder to find out sooner it wasn't going to work. Even when it's like not going to go my way, I still wish I had pushed harder to find that out. And sometimes that's, that becomes what it is. That I didn't push. I didn't try as hard as I could have. I didn't find out what was going to happen. Yeah. Sometimes it goes that way.
So I'm working on right now portrait of Will Eisner. He's the guy who
Eisner Award?
Yeah, the Eisner Award. Yeah.
You're going in, huh?
Oh, I'm going in. Yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
I sent you the Rob Liefeld one, right?
No,
the one.
definitely you didn't. Unless it was in that mix, I didn't recognize it.
Yeah, so the one the one that's drawn with the fine liner, it's got really skinny lines.
Let me see.
You got blue eyes.
It's black and white. Is it fully it's a color drawing?
It's color, but it's drawn with thin lines, so it's like lightly colored. But it's
See what we got. Is it Tales from the Crypt?
Nah, it's
not Tank Girl. It's not the VP debate.
Nope.
It's not Riser or Risk Ops.
It says
Rob.
Rob, yes.
Okay. You gonna be able to jazz that up with the crazy color like the other ones?
So I'm doing it in the same style as the Rob one. So it's basically a pen drawing where I switch the colors as I'm drawing it, so it's kind of like it creates like a rainbow line, like the colors blend.
Okay.
Without using a lot of color.
And how much are those markers?
The ones that I'm using right now are super cheap jumps from Ross. American Crafts is what they're called. I had the packet. Oh, I have a brand new packet. So all right. So look. So my thing with cheap markers is that they're good for maybe one, maybe two drawings, and then something's gonna start messing up. So it's American Crafts felt markers. They have a fine tip, and I really bought them because I thought the markers were cute. Like I thought they looked good. They visually they look nice. They look very feminine, but I like the colors. I don't care.
All right.
And so I tried them out, and they seem to be working pretty nice. It's not. I didn't use these to draw the Rob Liefeld. Yeah, there it is. What did I use to draw the Rob Liefeld? I forgot what kind of pants I used to draw that. I was trying out some pants. I forgot what kind of pants that I used for the Rob, but they weren't these that I'm using right now. They were pretty good. I liked them. Oh, there were these. What are these things called here? Boldly colorful. They got another. I get them from Ross, but they had a thin tip, and so I just wanted to use that thin tip, just trying to try them out, and so that's what I did. So yeah, I have a running debate with a friend of mine who's a photographer, and he says that the tools that the person used makes them. You know what I mean? If you want a real good photo, you have to use a real good camera, right?
That's not gonna go over well.
Well, I mean, that's his debate. And I tend to think that it's more of the person that's pushing the camera, or in this case, the person that's pushing the pen.
Yeah,
But I do know that if I had $200 set of fine liner pens, it probably would be a little better.
Yeah, I think this. I've discussed this before, and what happens usually is that people kind of don't understand that the reason that things are supposed to be expensive is the quality of it, and that you're going to get more mileage out of the tools. It's not going to improve your art. So when people say, oh, does a $1,000 guitar sound better than a $500 guitar? And the answer is no, not really. The difference is the $1,000 guitar stays in tune longer, and the neck doesn't bend as easy, and the strings don't break as easy. So, if you're going to be practicing your guitar for half an hour straight, you don't have to keep retuning it. That's why you buy an expensive guitar, not to make you sound better, but you improve because you're not constantly readjusting the tool. You're not constantly having to fix something. The pen doesn't skip. You don't have to keep shaking it to get the ink back down to the nose.
Or like what the thing that usually happens with these cheap markers is they just run out of ink.
Yeah.
Or the tip breaks. Like I got Prismacolors for years. If a Prismacolor marker runs out of ink, I'm amazed. It's don't happen all the time. I mean, you don't open up the Prismacolor tip and the tip is beat up. You don't. That don't happen. But with cheap markers, I have markers that I just used once, and the tip is beat up.
Wow.
They're done. You're not going to get that fine, skinny line out of that color.
Wow.
So, who knows what if I had to fill that drawing in with those pens, how long they would have lasted.
Not long.
Right. That's part of the reason that is just a line drawing. And the yellow that I used, the yellow was difficult. Remembering actually using the tools, it's like the tips weren't all that. It wasn't a smooth drawing. Like these pens that I'm using today are much better than those pens.
Well, we should put the name up in case anyone is like, what are they talking about? What's the name of them? Those markers? The good ones?
The good ones are Prismacolor. It's a number of good ones. The ones that I'm using now are American Crafts. They're felt markers, the fine tip felt markers. And the ones that I use for Rob are boldly colorful. It's a dual tip marker, and they have a brush tip, and they have a fine, super skinny nib.
So they're Prismacolor?
No. Some of this piece is boldly colorful.
The good one.
Okay. I'm feeling kind of confused. Like we're not really saying the same thing.
All right, so I'm trying to find the actual brand of marker that you said is the bomb. That's the good one.
That's Prismacolor, 100%.
Okay, so yeah, that's the site. You haven't seen my browser up, but I pulled up the browser showing what you're talking about.
Okay, yeah. So Prismacolor markers are that's the industry standard, and they're really good.
Jesus Christ, 405 to 509.
You looking at prices?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Should have told me not to go do that. Damn.
You never bought no Prismacolor.
No, I not 509. I know I have a set that I gave my niece that were some kind of liquid marker thing that was expensive, and she asked for it. I think for her one of her birthdays or something, or Christmas. And I know when I seen the price, I almost fainted. But I don't. It wasn't anything near no not 509. But I know it was more than like $50 or something. I know when I seen the price tag, I was like, what?
Oh
But,
yeah, and I got that too.
Mm-hmm.
That 509, that's the 120.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they got 200 colors, but for some reason they don't make a 200 pack. They only make the 120 or 180 or some ridiculous number, something really close.
That's crazy.
You gotta kind of get the extra pins. But yeah, I got but the colored pencils, I got all 200.
Wow.
I got them up there on the shelf. They're waiting. I ain't pulled them out yet because I ain't really got any colored pencils. I've been on this whole ink tip.
Wow. Yeah, when it's time, it's time. Shoot.
So I'm about to buy this other set of markers to try them out. They're called Spectre Dior. I'll type that in and pull them up. Those. Spectra Dior, Nio.
Yeah, Spectrum. Well,
Yeah.
they're on Amazon. Well, there's an actual site too. So let's go look at their site. Alcohol marker. You're gonna make me start. You know what? I ain't even gonna do it. I'm sticking to my my tablet and my drawing pen, my stylus pen. I ain't even.
So they just had a set. I saw that I'm thinking about buying. Oh, I like it to see if I can get a lower price. But it's called Aqua. It's their water-based marker. It's a marker, but it acts like a watercolor.
You need to be telling her that you gonna you're a teacher and you need a discount.
No, I need them to sponsor me. That's really what I need.
Shoot, well then you need to be making videos just about that and showing off your art using it. You have to get on your grizzle.
Right. So that's the plan. I'm gonna use this our experiences together to get my technology, the technical skills up, and then start making those on the side. And then while you're doing your 3D thing, I'm over here drawing. Like I've been drawing this whole time.
That's dope. That is dope. All right.
I was gonna send you pictures of Spectrum New York. I want the whole set, every last one. I want all of them. But I'm still a day behind on this Inktober thing.
Get busy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one thing it's if it's gonna stress you out and all of that, it ain't really worth it. So you got to do it so that you're not stressed. That's how you're gonna produce your best work.
Yeah. Believing.
Right. When you get into that flow state, and you just making, and you're not, politicking.
Mm-hmm.
Look at all those nice colors.
Mm.
Oh, okay. So I see. I'm like 10 seconds behind. So I'm just now seeing how you went to the
site.
support. Yeah, the teaching site. Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna have to find that page.
Mm-hmm.
If is that a black dude? Man, let me send my application right. No.
Oh yeah, get it in. Oh yeah, get it in.
I could be using their stuff. Want to say exclusively, but damn, them Spectrum Noirs are not better than Prismacolor.
You sure you want to say that?
I don't want to say that. Edit it out the video.
Mm-hmm.
But I used their pieces. Which one was Spectrum Noir? I'm gonna tell you right now, because I always take a picture with the tools next to the picture. They got color pencils too.
What else we got cooking?
eBay sales.
All right, you winding down. You staying up much later?
Yeah, I'm still working on this. I'm looking at pictures to see what I use to so I could tell you which picture to show that I use Spectrum Noir markers. Oh, it's the black and white one, the one with the Tales from the Crypt. I use their they have a grayscale set.
And you're switching markers to do the beard?
The whole piece, all it's done in sections: warm grays, cool grays, and blue grays. So they give three sets of. That's Spectrum Noir. Hold on a second. I'm tripping. Let me verify this. I'm giving some misinformation. Gotta actually find it. I am tripping. I all of a sudden find what I need. I take too many pictures is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Downloading, but I have an iPhone that's broken. Right, my iPhone does not download when you connect it to the computer.
How'd you do the Mobius one?
Huh?
How'd you do the Mobius one?
Oh, the Mobius one I did in Procreate.
On black paper and drew in white? Or you reversed it?
Well, at first I was drawn in black, but then I was like, you know what, I want to draw in white. So then I, turned the background black and finished the drawing in white.
Mm. I would love to see like a superhero book. Or actually, I'm not say superhero. That's limiting. But just some kind of book with that graffiti style. Like those pages that you had where you were like doing the whole page at once.
Uh-huh.
That looked crazy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Talking about like pencil work that I showed you with the
No,
truck.
it was full color, but it looked like a graph page. Like you had like the whole character was walking in one scene, and the next scene it was like all together like a poster. Every page was a poster. I ain't gonna pull up my phone and try to connect my phone to pull it down. Probably on your Instagram. Did you share a bunch of art on your Instagram?
Yep.
Or maybe I could find your Instagram that everyone else knows what we're saying before we get out of here and wind down. Actually, how would I find it? Oh boy, I'm so terrible at this stuff. Actually, I'd probably put your name in. Duh. Backyard Toys. You are Backyard Toys. Damn. All right. So this is it. Backyard toys. Where is the page one? Could have sent me this one.
Which one are you talking about? You know, it's a delay, so you have to kind of.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's the one with the dude sitting in the shopping cart.
Oh, radio.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was sending them on my phone, I reached my limit of images, and radio was going to be the next selection. The Dan Clouds is the one that I use Spectrum Dior. The one with the angry face and it says draw every day.
Hmm.
That's Spectrum.
The Thing one is crazy.
Yeah, I like the Thing. So,
the glasses. Doing the glasses. You did the Crow.
Yeah, I did the Crow.
Yeah, you should have sent me this one. Like you sending me that one, you should have sent me the Crow.
Yeah, well, you know what? The Crow, that was like what, day one?
Well, day one was great. Shoot.
Day two, I think it might have been day two.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, I like the Crow. You know, and that's no pencil. I use just straight marker on the page. So
wow.
I had pencil this whole time.
Hmm.
None of these I use pencil.
Hmm. Yeah, that's groovy.
The VP, I do that in pencil. And then there was a day, there was a Outlaw day that I haven't finished. So the Outlaw, I did draw that in pencil. But yeah, I've been practicing. You know, first time done right. It's my slogan.
I like it.
Yeah. So, and that's Cannonball pushing them on that. Oh, I keep forgetting that we're like 10 seconds.
Yeah, I'm already looking at this other one. I can't even read the text. My eyes won't focus on it.
What color is it?
It's multicolored. It's mostly red. It looks like Soul Full of Art.
Oh yeah, a Soul Full of Art. Yeah, that was. It was kind of like a self-portrait, like a conceptual self-portrait.
Mm.
You know, but it you know, oddly, it got the least amount of interest.
Hmm.
You know?
Well, I think next for you, streaming wise, is to start streaming you drawing.
Right.
You know, we reverse it. Next time we put your screen live and get you doing some streaming.
Right. So, yeah, that's cool. Show my process.
Yeah.
They have a app, or supposed to have an app, or I've seen it done, where like me and you could be on a call, and we could be drawing on the same page.
That's nuts.
That's nutty, right?
We gotta look into that. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, that's something that we need to set up.
Let me do the pencils. You can do the inks.
I'm ready to do pencils.
You don't want to use your expensive ink markers.
Concentrate on the colors.
You don't want to use the expensive ink markers.
Use the ink markers digitally.
Well, I'm just saying, isn't it gonna come out on paper?
No, it'd be like we both drawing in Procreate, but the Procreate will be the screen.
Oh.
So it'll have a little box with your face in it, like you have right now. A little box with my face in it, and then the screen that everybody will see will be the actual page that we're both drawing on. So
you see, that sounds kind of fresh. On my Facebook, there's
wait, click go. Oh, sorry. 10-second delay. I was gonna say there's another piece that I use the markers with.
What was it?
It's a delay. Let's not even worry about it.
All right.
Let's move on, because I don't even want to take the time to
describe it.
Hey, this is what it is blah, 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 blah. All right, yeah. So let's make that video. Interesting. Yeah, we're gonna have to fix this delay thing.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get the feed to pop back on where the feed is live again. Got to do that.
But I think that it has a lot to do with our connection. That's why I feel in my heart is the connection that we have right now that's probably causing the lag, because it's using a lot of energy, like a lot of mental space, a lot of computer space.
I don't know.
Power.
I don't know. I gotta figure this out. I'm gonna do, now that we're doing this and we seem to be pretty fairly consistent, I think what I will do is pop on and do some research on how to connect both screens at once. Have you on, have me on, and figure that out and swap from my screen to your screen or a split screen. There's ways to do all of this. I just gotta figure it out. I'll put a little bit of effort in that, but I can't go crazy worrying about that now.
Right. I know. Are you using OBS Studio?
I downloaded it tonight. It's called, I'm about to get the name wrong. It's Twitch's own streaming software.
Oh, I forgot we were doing that at Twitch.
Yeah, I used to use that OBV, whatever it was. Like I have that installed. But I found the interface hard to get around and trying to figure out how to set things up. So I ended up because it said, hey, use our stuff, I just did it.
Right.
But the only thing, like I said, I got to learn a bunch of things with this. Like I don't see the chat. Like the chat isn't running. Like it says users in chat, but I'm not seeing anything, So I got to figure out, why the chat isn't live or isn't showing up somewhere. So I got to figure that out. I don't know how any of that works. So I see you just said, I see you say hello, internet. So it works. I don't know. I don't even know if I'd want to see that overlaid on the screen. Like, do you want to have people see in the chat while you're talking or while you're doing stuff? Probably not.
I don't know. I think that in this particular format, the chat is better because the people will be able to talk to each other when they can't talk to us, right? So we would only be able to engage with one, maybe two persons at a time. Let's just say we had a room full of people, 100, 200 people. We can't talk to all them people that's going to want to interact with us, but they can interact with each other. And they can leave us messages and basically kind of like all yell at once, and then we could like hear.
Sort it out later.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And we can like, Ruby Baker, 23, what's up? I saw that movie. You know what I mean? Yeah. So,
dope.
It's just gotta make. I think. All right. So look, step one is just to make some content, right? And if our content is good, then we'll
get another shot. Like art.
Well, yeah, somebody's gonna watch it and they're gonna be like, oh, they're interesting. Let me follow them. So when they do go live and do a brand new one, I can tune in.
Okay, so everyone who's watching, follow then.
Yes, please subscribe.
There you go.
To our Twitch. You can research Tieuelium, Tieuelium, and follow my Twitch as well.
There you go. Let's do it.
I'm not like one of these stuck-up celebrities and won't follow you back.
Not yet.
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet. Get in on the ground floor while the getting is good.
The ground floor. Well, yeah. I'll see your feed forever. There
you go.
I have some celebrity friends that would not follow me. I don't know what that means. I like to think, right, that they're just too busy They just haven't gotten around to it, or like, look, the experience of opening up your Instagram when you have 100,000 followers has to be different than when you open up your Instagram and you have 100 followers. It's got to be different.
I think it's probably not, and that's probably why celebrities follow 5 people and that's it. And I think those 5 get to send them messages and give them updates and whatever, but I think that's why all the celebrities have like 10 people at most they follow, because you can't open that up and be seeing like
everybody's little posts.
Yeah, you're not gonna do that, and that's why you got to trim it down. Like my Twitter is junk. That's why I don't use Twitter, because my Twitter feed was made in the early days, not early days of Twitter, but years ago. And when I hopped on Twitter, it was like following everybody. Like, follow me, I'll follow you. Follow me, I'll follow you. So I was just, in the zone of it. I'm just following 8 billion people. And now when I go on there, it's like people who I have no idea who this person is, sharing junk, stupid little comments. And it's like, sometimes you want to be that person who just trims it and just gets rid of everyone that's not following you back, and just get something to just delete all these people who I don't know who they are, that 5 years ago we were all just following each other. And who knows, there's a stupid thing where like someone follows you, you follow them back, then they unfollow you. Like, there's a lot of weirdness going on with that. So there's a lot of games going on and a lot of weird social media stuff. I don't know if I want to get real caught up in that. Like, that might be, I think that's why celebrities want to do the one-way street. Nobody's feeling you're a celebrity and some regular Joe Blow is sitting there calling you all sorts of names, busting on your art, someone who hasn't done anything. Matter of fact, if I was going to light somebody up, I think we safe for now. This dude on one of my ads, because, we're running ads, this dude put like this real rude comment on my ad and, really took a shot at my work. And it's weird because, like, obviously business wise, you can't let them build up, because then one clown attracts other clowns. So we did talk about this, but like, so like, yeah. And I don't want to don't blow it up. I mean, let's not talk about it. But like, he's got like a real crappy job somewhere. He looks crazy. His universe looks wild, and you want to sort of laugh at it. Like, who is this dude? But that's cruel. He can say anything he want and insult you, insult whatever, take it to the full limit. But if you say one mean thing, suddenly you're the big bully. And that's the universe we live in for now. So until that changes, like, yeah, you just have to just delete the comment and keep it pushing. But it was funny. I'm like, this the guy? Like, look what he does. That's the guy. But yeah.
I told you about, when I'm on Facebook Marketplace trying to sell these toys, and you're going to comment, on like, oh, that toy ain't real, or whatever it is that you feel like saying that I feel like is detrimental to my sale, immediately deleted and blocked. So you're not even going to be able to come back to say, hey, what happened to my post? Oh, you deleted my post. No, not coming back at all.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's why they do it. I don't think anyone wants a fair and open thing where anybody could holler at you. I think that's why, like I said, they don't follow like that. They don't go on live. They only go in spaces they control, or else people get real crazy. They forget you're human and they start to treat you like an entity and just go in. And
plus their celebrity that's part of their value, right? Like the right celebrity coming on our show will blow our show up just because they're on our show.
Yeah.
Like imagine if we got to interview Rob Liefeld. You know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't have to even promote that he was on our show. We could just put his name in the hashtag, and people seek out his stuff. They seek him out because he's a celebrity.
Yeah, but then you also got the danger of the clown who's going to come in and say something crazy about him, and just be like, don't matter who he is. I want to talk about this thing that he did. I want to talk about this drawing he did. I want to talk about that. And when you're anonymous, celebrity don't matter. Like, it don't matter when you're anonymous. You can just say whatever to this dude. You don't want to, like I said, If I were to take that guy's picture and profile and spend half an hour cracking on it, it'd be funny and it'd be great content. But in the universe, you know, I'm the one with the thick skin who's mature and tempered. You know, do I really want to hurt that guy's feelings? Seriously?
Right.
No. You know, I'm good with jokes, and I could do a roasting session, but you don't want to do that to some guy who just, isn't really thinking thoughtfully and just says some blurts out something stupid. You know?
I mean, I think that everybody is not up for playing the dozens. Just in general, I learned this because like when I was with my rap, that's one of the reasons my rap crew didn't make it. Like that's what I feel like in my heart is because um, we became unfeeling because like our normal interaction included a lot of roasting on each other, right? Like we never built each other up. We only insulted and made fun of each other.
Mm.
And so like that creates a certain type of environment. And it's hard to prosper creatively in that type of environment. Dealing with those type of people. And so then when we would deal with people outside of the crew, everybody doesn't have a thick skin. I remember being at a video, right? And because we ended up meeting these people, and she was a casting agent for videos, and she got us work. Like we paid to be on the set of a video, like, and we wanted to be rappers. So like that's exactly what we wanted to be doing and where we should have been. But we were unable to capitalize off of it because we roasted the lady one day after one of the shoots, and she started crying.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're done there.
Yeah, so we didn't get any more work after that. And that's how it is. But and even to this day, like I just went and met with them, and they don't. It's like some people, they don't even have like awareness of like even when they mess up. They can't, or maybe they know, but they just don't want to admit it.
Yeah, that's heavy maturity.
Yeah.
Not easy when it comes to something you're passionate about, something you really have your heart sunk into. Not easy.
Right. So yeah, we didn't make it, but it's always tomorrow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this little Eisner piece is going to be dope. A little more inky than the Rob Liefeld. Yeah, my vehicle is I don't need it to be super futuristic.
Well, what is it going to be?
All right. Well, I want. All right. So this one character is called Escort, right? And so his favorite car is what you would guess, an Escort, Ford Escort. That's what he drives. So I want a super nice looking Ford Escort.
Okay. Like tricked out, like a young teening put fins on it and a spoiler on it.
Yeah, the car is supposed to be very fast and have really good handling, but the tires, are like on and off road tires that he has on. So they're I want them to look good, like they're like they can have some speed, but he can take this on a dirt road if he wanted. Take this Escort. So yeah, so that's the character, and he drives a car. And I'm gonna for the one pickup truck, I have a little toy pickup truck that I'm going to use. And I found there's actually a dude that's out here. He's called Heavy Metal Handyman, right? And he has a truck with, heavy metal handyman along it. So I have a character in one of my books that, matter of fact, the pages that I showed you, the one with the car crashing, the pickup truck, and it had the graffiti. It was all pencil.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that story, that's the final page in a story where the main character meets the heavy metal handyman on a fishing trip with his son. And unfortunately, something happens to the heavy metal handyman. But I'm gonna come up with a better name, or because that name is already taken. Mm. But if you Google this dude and go to his Facebook, you'll see like the look of this dude that I want. And yeah, just rock and roll dude, old school Ford pickup, rusty but painted over. You know what I'm saying? With hand painted business logo on the side of the truck. Like it's his work truck, but it's also his personal truck. Yeah. So. What is the 4-6? So. But yeah, so I don't know. Thanks for the books, though. I don't know if I ever said thank you.
Good looks on picking up in the feedback. What is he talking about? 4-6 printed copies on Indie Planet. How? So he's reading the same comic book series that I'm showing up on the screen. I sent my dude the book, and big as hell. What?
Yeah. What is that? That's season 4 stuff?
Yeah, this is season 4.
Yo, that's a D&D monster, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. Look at that sound. Listen to that sound. When I put it on the table. What? What?
Yeah, that's a big. It's a very large.
Yeah, we get unboxing, even live unboxing. This is the Redder Coltrane story. I did the Redux version of it that I because I hit 50 episodes. We celebrating, and I went back and revisited my earliest books and played with the graphics and played with little elements here and there, freshened it up a little bit, and we're celebrating. So we have new versions of all the books coming out to celebrate the 50th anniversary. Well, 50th issue. So I call it my Redux. And this is another book. This is the Redder Coltrane story, my first big story arc that got me to pop off.
I think you're gonna pick up a whole lot of new readers with these real books that you're passing out.
Yeah, these are crazy. Like I said, most people, I mean, business-wise, it worked out really nice. The people are really digging it. Like, they are reading this and really getting hooked into the series. So that was one of the smarter things I would argue I've done is, put the books back out there physically. Let people have it. Yeah. So they're really digging it. So, yeah, we got lucky. Well, right now what's on the screen is my Halloween episode. A bunch of years ago, I thought it'd be kind of crazy if a brand could make episodes based on the holidays. So I did a Christmas episode. I mean, it's a Christmas themed episode, and this is a Halloween, so it's horror. And the two girls go to investigate a base, one of their remote tech bases, and all hell breaks loose when they get there. So it's Louise and Jackie having an adventure. And story-wise, for me, this is a big deal because for the first time I got to show you their chemistry. That's always been a lot of fun when you don't know how two of the Annihilators are going to work together when they are on mission together. and you get to see their interaction, you get to check their relationship. And I've always had great fun just showing how the two of them get along and what they do and how they move. So this was great fun putting together this story. Yeah, a lot of fun. Just her, the new beta robot partner, Louise doing what Louise does. So this is a great story. And this is, sometimes this is my silliness for writing. If you want to take a diversion into the writing task, that we have a cliffhanger. I love cliffhangers. It's a throwback to the old days of comics, what I call like the golden age, or even in cinema, the old black and white serials where, the damsel in distress would get tied to the railroad track and the train was coming and it'd be like, next weekend, what's going to happen, or next episode. And I used to love that. So I incorporate that in 4-6 with these cliffhangers. And the truth with a cliffhanger is sometimes they got to fall off the cliff. Because if a cliffhanger never has a calamity, then it's not a real cliffhanger after a while. You just know it's a fake setup. And all I'm left with is trying to make you think they're in such a bad position. How will they get out of this one? Because they're going to get out of it. But the question in your mind is how they're going to get out of it. And sometimes that's all I'm left with. Putting them in such an absurd situation that you can't imagine how they're going to get out of it. And in this case, I've got Louise coming up on the lab and she sees one of the zombified characters. And, she's obviously in great control. She's got her red beam. She's got the character. She's fully aware. But hiding behind it is an antagonist, the bad guy of the story, the doctor. And he's sitting here with some kind of sledgehammer type device, and she's walking in. And this is my cliffhanger to be continued. So obviously, from this position, you can imagine that she dodges it, ducks it, shoots him instead, does a flip, does something. But sometimes in the part 2, you got to have the bad guy get his moment. And he actually gets to give her a good clanging in the head with the hammer. And like I said, if every cliffhanger is a fake Jeopardy moment or the character gets away, it doesn't feel like a cliffhanger anymore. It becomes almost gimmicky, that it was almost danger, but not quite. So I like to do it where you're not sure if it's going to go where you think it's going. Is it going to go the worst place it could? And sometimes I feel like it needs to. And this is one of those. So she actually does take the wallop in the head. He whacks her again on the backstroke, which is crazy. That she's really, blood coming out the skull, kicks her in the grill, like it's not going well. And sometimes you won't expect that your main character could get in some kind of trouble, but you'll see the conclusion. All things work in proper order in the universe. That's storytelling stuff that I like to inject. That it's not always going to work out or always go the way you think. That's one of my favorite moments. But yeah, this is the book, the Halloween special, and is 4-6, and they're on a solo mission. That be it. And I think this wasn't done for the 50th Redux. Like I went and revisited, but there wasn't a whole lot to touch, so it didn't get the 50th treatment. I'm just re-releasing it for free. If you follow any of my social medias, you'll see links to it. But for the next couple of weeks, we're celebrating the 50th and Halloween, so we got a couple of books for free that you can read and see the adventure that they're having. But all of this.
So here's a task that I want us both to be involved in. I think would be good for us. We should try to get involved with a free comic book day. And see how you can get your book in there, or at least even if we can't get involved with the official free comic book day, do something during that time next year.
It's funny because as goofy as it is, I did think about going to all the comic shops and dropping off books and just letting them do it for free comic book day.
No, here's what you would do. Like here's what I would do. I would take I don't know, like this is gonna be expensive.
Oh Lord, here we go.
Just hold your pocket while I'm saying. Maybe get like 50 books, right? Choose which one to do. Hear me out. You got to hear me out all the way because it's an investment, right? It's just like advertising. It is.
Okay, 50 books is doable. Let's see where this is going.
Right. So, and then you take the 50 largest comic book shops in your area, or I don't know how long you're gonna go.
That's doable. So far, so good. This is doable.
One book to each shop. Walk it in there. Boom. Here you go. You're the owner. I would love to sell my books here. Here's a copy of my book. You can put it on display. Keep it. And boom. Can we do some business?
The dude in my rap group is should have said that first before you tell the story. That was a mistake. Can't go backwards now.
Can't go back.
Yeah, I can't go back. Now I gotta tell a story with him being blown up. But whatever. We were talking about this like 2 days ago, and his idea for me was not to do the old record hustle where you drop off the records and then say, I'll be back in a month to collect. But what I would do is just go there with 10 books a shop and just say, hey, the cover price is $2.99. I'm gonna give it to you for $1 right now. Give me whatever, how many books I got, 50 books, whatever 10 books I'm dropping off. Give me the $10 straight for the books. I'm gonna give you the packet and you sell it and it's yours. And it's just direct delivery. So I don't have to worry about them giving me it back, whatever. You just, get yours up front and just drop off the books, become my own distributor.
Yeah, that's a way to do it.
Yeah, because I know when I did music, I took a burn where every store ordered 8 billion records. And and then, 3 months later, you're emailing some store in Boise, Idaho, asking when they're going to pay for your 20 records, and they say that guy don't work there no more. And I'm not going to take a flight to Boise, Idaho and go visit some store owner and break up the shop to get my little bit of money back. But that was a lesson that I learned way back when I was trying to, again, if I had a catalog, you would just say, well, we ain't going to give you the next big release if you don't pay. You're not going to get the big record that everyone's anticipating, or we're going to, do something else. And if I was a label with like tons of artists, it could be a deal if it was a lot of artists not delivering. But, when you were doing it yourself, that was just a burn that I felt like, oh, shoot, everywhere I'm calling, no one ever heard of me. They ain't got the album. No, I don't see a receipt for that. You're like, yo, I mailed it out on this date. You ordered 12 copies of this album, and everyone don't remember nothing no more. Everybody don't work there no more. That guy ain't never there that day. That person, they some say they still got it there on the shelf, and you be like, well, pay for it or sell it.
But it's just like selling anything. Like sometimes it don't move, and sometimes it takes just being on the shelf, right? Like I listen. I just want you to display my shit, right? So like I come in with my book, and if I'm giving it to you, just put it up. I'm gonna also probably bring a poster. I'm gonna bring some handouts.
Yeah, those are real sales. I'm not gonna argue against real sales. Who's gonna argue against that? Real sales is real sales.
I'm not even look. I'm not even looking for sales. Like I wouldn't even the first time I walk into a comic book shop, like ever cold, I'm not looking to sell them no books. I just want them to know who I am. I just want them to know that I have a quality book, and then I want the customer base to start asking about it. Hey, what's that book right there? Coltrane? What is that? Is this a 3D book? How much for this book?
Yeah, Redder Coltrane is yeah. I mean, what I basically did was, that's, to be honest, I'm using my choice D all the above formula. So my choice D all the above is basically that. Where switching to my dashboard. We don't want to do that. But in the middle of it, I just went and I was talking to the store owners and asked them about comics and about sales and what moves and what generates the most money and what do they think I should do, yada yada yada. And when I was doing that, you take that off. When I was doing that, they were saying that trades is where it's at, and that I would want to do a trade. And that's when, I had the idea of doing my collections, and I wasn't going to sit there and really hustle the single issue because it was so expensive that it was like, it doesn't really make sense to keep pushing these single issues because they're so hard to move and keep up with every month. So they were the ones that sold me on the idea of just going with the trade sort of side. That's how I got. That's what made me start to push the collections.
Right.
And that's when it was like, let me start combining all these story arcs and together into one book. And it has worked out because people want to consume, more comics. They want to consume more story. They want to binge,
Right.
But at the same time, if you're fully up to date, then you like getting the singular issue and finding out what's happening in the next one, and if you can catch up. But the story is still relatively new to catching on, so there's still people discovering it every day. There's still people who I put out anything, and it's like, what is this? It's like, yeah, it's been here for a little bit, but people are catching on. Every time we put out a new series, it adds heat to all the rest of them. So yeah.
You know what I would think about doing is sending something special, like somebody that has all 50 issues. Like, you've been reading all 50 issues. Like, they should get something special.
There is a guy, unfortunately. Yeah, I know there's at least one exact guy because there was a person who bought every single book at once. And I saw that pop up in the ad. So I know there's one dude who, and was weird because they didn't buy the collections. They went and bought every individual issue. So I kind of feel like maybe that's a supporter who's just like feeling the brand and wants to support me. So he bought every individual book. It was a weird thing to see, but I feel like I'm not going to get his email.
Well, likely it's somebody that was reading your shit.
Yeah, but you're not going to get his email. Like they don't share that information with me.
Yeah, but you can't contact them. Yeah, that's why you should be selling on your own.
Not yet. Yeah. It's come on. We're gonna have the business argument.
We always have business arguments.
Yeah. Well, when you start out, there is no
a win. You never listen to me. You do what you're gonna do.
I am, because you first got to go where the traffic is. I understand the end game is to sell books directly. I get it. I'm not arguing against it, and this is where we have our disagreement. I don't dispute that in the end, direct being sold from my own site isn't the key. The difference, though, is that we're not there with the following enough yet that I need to steer traffic.
Right.
So I got to go where the big stores are. Like, is it better to have a store called, JoJo's Jeans, or should I put my jeans in every store across America?
Right, and Gaps.
Yeah. So we still at needing to be in the Gap. I need to be in Walmart. I need to be everywhere. We're still there yet. Before I pull out of there, when and I don't want to break the bread with anyone else, then I'll go exclusive. But it's still dangerous. There's a reason why they don't. They tend.
Listen, it's dangerous, but like this Robert Coltrane, that's like your AKA. That's like your AK. You know what I'm saying? And then the season 4, that's your body armor.
Yeah, but this ain't the best arc. I ain't gonna.
You toss that Coltrane on the table. Yeah, read that, show that to your customer base, see if they want to buy it. When they want to buy it, boom, season book.
Yeah, the seasons have done well. I ain't gonna in front. That was, you know what, and it's funny too, because like I said, when I did that, I thought that was a bit of a risk to shove all those books together and see what would happen, and that worked out nice. But you learn from doing.
That season 4 that you sent me is very, very large.
Yeah, 17 episodes.
And it stays together.
It's 17 episodes. And I did the same math.
Robert Coltrane is the perfect size.
Yeah, well, it's
in my backpack. Take it with me. It's plenty to read. Awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna go that way. It's gonna go that way. I can't wait to get to work on season 5. It's gonna be off. Oh my goodness, you don't even know. You don't even know what I got coming, but whatever. Gotta have patience, because again, people that read season 1 didn't know what else coming with season 2. And I was working on 4-6. No one saw Killer Butterfly coming. No one saw it coming. I worked on that for how long? I just waited, stayed in the cut. And people already said it's a completely different writing style, completely different feel. It's the same guy, but it feels completely different. And it's like, yeah, I kind of, I feel like I know what I'm doing, but sometimes, until you show it, people don't get it.
I can't wait to receive my killer butterfly in the mail, but I got plenty to read till then.
Yeah, a year's worth of comics. Yeah, I love this stuff. Oh man, was this fun to make? Oh man, was that fun?
So you write scripts for your book?
1,000%, of course. I teach this in my class. It ain't no secret. I mean, I don't care about blowing that up. I teach this in the class. My script starts out, I call it a living document. And a living document means it continuously grows and changes. So the script that looks one way on day one, and on the last day it looks completely different and even hard to read and almost doesn't make any sense. So it's the simple stuff from the size of the text. Once something has been used in the book, I shrink the text to almost barely legible. Like it's like size 6 or 8. It's tiny. It's probably 6. It's a preset for the size of the lettering. Once I've used a scene, I shrink it. So I always know where I'm at, where I'm going, what I'm doing. I make links inside my own script so I can jump around inside the script because I tend to work on multiple parts of the same story at once. Like I don't always do the script linear. I sometimes work at the beginning, sometimes I do the ending, and then I go backwards. I redo the beginning once I've gone through the ending. I change something in the middle. I go back and change the name of something. Like I jump around in the book. So my script jumps around too. So I have internal links in the document that leads me back around. I'll put notes on who's wearing what. That this person's wearing this, they wore that, they had this hairstyle. I take meticulous notes on everything. But when I'm first making all the scenes and the sets, that information is important. When we get near the end, that doesn't matter. The characters are already created, they're already wearing the stuff, the sets are already built. That now becomes unimportant and can get chopped out or shoved to the end of the book so we don't have to keep scrolling past any of that stuff. I write the macro. The macro is a large picture. The largest picture is the macro. And that's basically what the overall plot is. And I don't even call it a plot. I call it a series of events where this happens and this happens and this happens and that happens. Like this story is a little bit too layered to go into that. But like the other one we just looked at, the Halloween one, they drive to the base. They go in the base. They fight the guy. This, like, it's linear. Like 7 sentences is the whole story. And then underneath those 7 sentences, mentally, those are like the chapters now. Right. And then you begin to write that. And then I write the chapter, what happens in each chapter. Well, Louise opens the door and the guy hits her in the head. Then he hits her again. Then he kicks her in the face. And then he changes her to a table. And then like it's the pieces. And then from there, we're doing the actual vocal script. And that's when I'm actually getting into the nuts and bolts. And that's the micro part. And a script can come to me anyway. Like scripts come in pieces. It's never like I sit down and write a script. That's not true. I have done that. But I rarely just sit down and write a script from beginning to end. What happens is I'm laying down and I get a conversation in my head. And I'll get a witty conversation. And I'll just be thinking about the book, which is why creativity springs from the time you spend. Like it takes time to come up with the stuff. But I'll come up with a line and I'll be like, oh my God, it would be crazy if the guy says this. And I'll write that line down. I don't know exactly when it's going to be said, but I'll write the line down in the book. And I know, I'm going to get this in the book. This is crazy. And then sometimes you rethink the line. As you get closer to making it, you rethink the line. You come up with a better way of saying it. And it gets rewritten as you get closer. And then sometimes when I'm making the actual page, I'll change it again. Like there's parts in this script. Let me see. Where is this? So they're in the base and the 4-6 are shooting everyone up inside the base. Well, one of the 4-6 members. And as he jumps over the table, he says to the guy, he goes, stay down, Red. And Red says, what the F you think I was going to do? Like that I thought is a funny line that, he's like, stay down. And he's like, what you think I was going to do? Was it put my head up? Like, what, And like a line like that is something that's just spontaneous that I'll just write right then and there. And that'll be a line that I just wrote. This is a line I write as I'm making the book. This whole scene is spontaneous, where I was just making the fight, and then as I'm making the fight, the script comes to me as I'm looking at the art myself. And when she was running around him, I just liked the fact that she said, "Watch it, you big goof." That was almost me. And this guy's like a clown in her way, and that's how that's sort of coming. This was inspired. This is the kind of stuff that's just inspired. And you're like, yeah, I was just in a crazy zone when this guy was doing all of his speeching is what I call it. His big glorious speeching. But that's right in the script. And things coming to me like this took forever to write. This took forever to figure out what was going to happen here. And story wise, concept wise, if anyone even cares, we're going super, super deep down the rabbit hole. But the main good guy robot, you could argue, I'm gonna speak like in real, like generic terms for anyone who doesn't know the story. I'm not gonna be like Beta 1 is, and then but just the good guy robot is being beaten on by a hammer by one of the bad guys. And as he's breaking up the robot with the hammer, and there's whole sorts of puns and analogies and metaphors to that, the Beta starts playing back a recording. And the recording is like the kind of thing that a robot would be playing on the first day of service. So you're hearing some kind of scientist giving a speech about robots. And if you just study what is being said, this is Dr. Harv Bennett. Harvey Bennett, the newly developed Beta generation picks up where the much lauded Alpha series left off. Alpha gave us a self-programming AI capable of total autonomy and editing awareness. What would happen to a device that it started playing back its default recording, like it's day one being taken out the package? And that's the equivalent of what's happening to this robot, that he's breaking down so bad that his programming is resetting and playing back all the recordings that it's ever encountered. And it's playing back the first recording it ever made. Now you're going to hear a quote from a previous book where this is Jackie speaking. And Jackie said to him, "Why are you shaking up the entire valley? And this time let me do the talking." That's a quote from earlier in the book. And, if you are paying ultra attention, you pick up that this is him playing back Jackie's speech. I do this a lot in the book. So if you didn't get it today, you're going to get it eventually and go, oh, he does this thing where, yes, I do a thing where things are playing back previous conversation. I do it all the time. It's one of my favorite things to do. But this guy doesn't understand any of this. This is basically you going, I don't know what any of this means. I don't know what's going on here. So he says, I don't know what all that is, but something tells me don't let it finish. Like that would be like that scene in a movie where the bad guy or the good guy just sits there and lets something play out. And he might be a bad guy, but he's like, you know what? I don't know what you're doing, but I ain't gonna let that finish. Whatever tapes you're doing, I don't know what's happening in you, but I'm not gonna let that go to its ending. And this is like one of those moments that you might say is a throwaway. Like this is just 2 random pages. There's a bunch of little weird script stuff going on. I don't get the weight of this moment. But I'm not writing from a point. Like I said, my books are meant you could just flip through the pictures and you don't have to get anything. I write the books on the low level, and I teach this in the class too. Low level, high level. My book has to work for people who aren't concentrating, who are just going to flick through the pages and look for action, who don't care about the story or meanings or intrinsic stuff. They just want to see cool robots, spaceships, hot chicks, and guns. So on that level, we give you plenty of action. But for those that want to read into it, take it to heart, understand what I'm trying to say, read into every sentence and try to pull out those meanings, I want to give you those breadcrumbs that you can follow and get to the snack at the end. That I want you to see moments like this and go, why does he, I don't get it. What is he doing with this? And then when you pull it all together, that's when you get rewarded. Like, wow, that was crazy. I figured out what happens. I figured out what's going on. She says it again here. I'm on, raise me up, raise me up. This quote here, he says, heapin' be Jesus, I'm knocking the bitch out of you. That's the code that he's hearing a female voice. And he says, damn, you just don't quit. I seen you glow, spark, smoke. Hell, you rattle when you move, parts be flying off. What the hell are you made of? That is some righteous armor you got there, son. Righteous armor. Armor Righteous is the name of the episode. That's where the name of the episode came from. Armor of righteousness. That's talking about his armor. When she says, take me up on the lift, that is bringing us back to... I know this is too much. We went in a rabbit hole. That's what you get.
We fell down and we got to climb out.
All right. Well, this is it. When she says, I'm on, raise me up. He's playing back the tape from this moment when they first encountered each other. But, you know, these are all the things that happen. I do it enough in the story that if it goes over your head the first time, you'll pick up on it later and catch on what we're doing here. So it's definitely interesting. But, you know, she goes, they want us to follow still. Stay alert and be prepared to kill anything that moves. And he says, you do know that is my normal resting state, don't you? My little, you know, little quip. I like that relationship. You know, I can't wait to explore that. Oh, I got so much coming. You have no clue, but whatever. That is what we do for the writing part. You know, clever, sometimes simple. That's why Killer Butterfly is written completely different. Let's pull up a Killer Butterfly if you can find one of those. It's written completely different with a completely different style. I know people didn't quite understand where I was going, but, you know, there's a lot of deliberate stuff that I'm doing. Killer Butterfly is 100% linear, and we don't really do a lot of jumping back and forth in time. Can I look at this? Yes, let's look at Killer Butterfly. Bam. So this is season 1 of Killer Butterfly, which is 10 books put together. So I'm not no need to explain the world and all of that stuff. Nobody cares. But this is, you know, you're talking about the thing that happens to the main character. 4-6, I'm not going to share their childhoods or their early history because I'm not prepared to let you know that yet. So in 4-6, I just keep giving you little flashbacks all the time to unlock the character's personality, what their motives are, what drives them. I'm giving you it in little pieces, little glimpses. Killer Butterfly is the opposite. I am showing you their entire life story right at the beginning. There's no mystery to who these characters are and what they're about. It's not a mystery. We're not going to leave you in the dark. We're not using any super crazy, unheard of storytelling techniques. There aren't a million things buried with layers and meaning. This is straightforward storytelling. His father was a warrior. He used to go away and train him. His father would tell him he's only going to come back to visit him when he's mastered a technique. So he's been training as hard as he can because he believes it'll bring his father back. The night before his father comes back from the war, his mother takes sick. He wakes up in the night and sees the father grappling with the mother. And he's frozen and shocked because the father is telling him to get his sword. Now, if you're a little boy, what are you thinking when you see your father wrestling with your mom and your dad is saying, go get my sword? What do you do if you're a little kid and you hear noise and you go in your parents' bedroom and your father is on top of your mother saying, go get my sword? What do you do as a little boy?
You go get the sword.
Well, he's screaming at him to get, but you've been hanging out with the mom. Dad's been going away for war and coming back. This is a moment that he's frozen. He doesn't know what to do. He's a little boy and he's frozen. And then the dad is yelling and then the father becomes screaming. And then the father was screaming not for him to bring the sword, but to run. So you can imagine your father was saying, get my sword, get my sword. And then the father is screaming, run, like, get out of here, run. And when he looks, he sees the you know, his mother, demonic, possessed over his dead father, guts ripped out. You know, he tries to run, but he's so frozen in fear, he just trips and falls and just closes his eyes in fear. And then what was once chasing him is now coming out nonchalant and strides out. On fire. His mom on fire strides out. Now, don't forget, he dropped the lamp, which caused the house to catch on fire. And walking through that flame is his mom on fire. Burns up, she just turns and speaks to him casually and says, when you become a man, come find us. We'll be waiting. And the mom walks out. And that's the trauma of my main character as his childhood memory of what happened to his parents. We didn't have to make this a big surprise and keep leading little. I can give you that right at the beginning. It's a different storytelling approach on purpose. So sometimes you have to accept and trust the creator that there's a plan. Like I'm not sort of just winging my way through this. This is a plan. We have things happening that I'm showing you. We're trying to get to it, but it takes time sometimes to build it. So let the story just unfold in natural order. He goes to a school, he's trained as a warrior, and then he leaves the school when he's old enough. He deserts the school in search of fighting the demons. We're not going to show any more because we're not going to spoil the story because there's a lot of cool things that are coming up in this. But this is Killer Butterfly, and that's the second series from Dynamic Comics, the Dynamic Universe, whatever you want to call us. But that's what it is. That's what we do. We're gonna skip past. I don't want anyone to know about that yet. You don't want you to know about that yet.
3 drunken guys.
Let's not blow that up. Yeah, I like you to read that. Let them read that. I'm gonna put this on Facebook, so who knows how many views this is gonna grow to.
Oh, that's a little song that they singing while they walking?
Yes. Yeah.
You know, I'm still like 12 seconds behind you, so.
Yeah. It's tight. It's tight. All right, we've been going for 3.5 hours, like a marathon.
Yeah, we should end this thing. No one's gonna watch it this long.
Yeah.
Well, like,
Oh, it doesn't matter. None of this matters.
you know, like if you watch this long, you should like just hit the like button right now. Like stop playing.
Yeah, right.
You know, to be subscribed, like you want to deal with us and hear from us more often.
It's dope. Let's do it.
Leave a comment.
Well, not bad. For the first stream, we started out, we got 4 people supporting us so far. So that's good.
I'll send the first person to comment some art.
There you go. That's dope.
You go. Boom. Who wants some art?
So I'm going to say thank everyone. I don't know who we talking to. This is going to be, I got to figure this all out.
I'm talking to you, you're talking to me. That's it. But soon, somebody might listen. And whoever that first person is, they'll get some dope art. Maybe I'll send them this Eisner here. Let's let this be the last thing. I'll text you this picture and put it on the screen.
Okay. You sending me a text or you sending me a picture to the email?
Well, I should email it up.
Yes, you should.
I'm gonna put the pins here so that see I used. That real quick.
Not seeing it yet.
I ain't sent still, get a little adjustments on it.
Man, you need to hurry up and send that. What you doing? You could have sent this a long time ago. You're wilding out.
I just finished it. I think the photo adjustment could have been better. But I sent it. I probably should have uploaded it to that one file that was shared.
Here we go. Final
got it?
image.
So, I got the lag, so let me know when it's up on the screen.
All right. Here we go. It's up.
Yeah, so that's Will Eisner and, American Craft Pens.
What are you basing his picture on?
I looked at a photo of him.
So do you ever think about sharing that photo with the
Yes, but a lot of times when you do that, like you end up fighting with the photo, right? Like, so your art versus the photo, and it's not really about that. It's really about how strong is this piece on its own. You know what I mean?
Can't argue against that.
Right. So, but I mean, I think that if you know him or you've seen photos of him, you would say that looks like him. There are some mistakes, and if we have more time, I'd probably send the original, and then we can kind of talk about it. But maybe next time we can talk about all the mistakes I made. But I like it. I need to hurry up and post it because, like I said, it's a day late. I want to be like on time, but I'm really, really pleased so far because I feel like having 30 of anything is really good.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go. I think full steam with the whole portrait thing, since like that's kind of been my theme, is doing portraits with their names above their heads. So I could work on my lettering. With each piece. So I feel like I'm getting better. I think I need to tune down do some that are just regular lettering instead of like so fancy.
Probably. Or both. Do that lettering on a separate layer and have it as a choice.
Well, I'm working on paper. I don't know how to make an extra layer in paper.
Oh, speaking of which, they're on my Facebook. Oh man, let's see. No, I took a picture of it, a screenshot of it. Let me go through my phone real quick. Be forgetting we're on sometimes. And let's take a look at this thing. There's a thing I saw which is supposed to be some kind of tablet that is like drawing on paper. You ever heard of that? It's called paper film.
Yeah, you put it on top of your iPad.
Yes, sir. What do you think of that?
Well, I think that when I pick a pen, right, like the smoothness of the pen is really important, right? And so when it's not so smooth, then I don't really like it when I feel the paper. So like the concept of putting paper on your iPad kind of is counterproductive. But the iPad is pretty slick, and so having more friction on the iPad, I think, might be a good idea. But I'm not sold on whether in the long term it would be better, or just learn how to ice skate. Are you trying to melt the ice so you can walk with the snowshoes? But I've never drawn on it, so I'd like to try it out. But I'm afraid that if I put it on my iPad, I won't be able to take it off. You know, so. But I haven't really had too much of a problem, drawing. It's slick. So you just gotta be like real light. It's like its own medium. You know what I mean? It's control is very important. Or like you can set it so control is not important, right? But like how mine's is set, control is important. Pressure, right, to make that line like go to a point or get fat in the middle.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Now, creating that consistent line that's the same thickness all the way through, that's kind of difficult. It's kind of difficult. So, but, all right, well, let's end it. So, thank you, everyone.
All right.
Next time I'll do another piece.
That's what's up.
Maybe you'll be able to watch me actually draw it.
That's what's up. All right. I think that's it. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I am Drew Spence from the Dynamic Universe, creator of the 4/6 series, Mark of the Griffin, and Killer Butterfly. I am on with Troy Tieuelium of Tieuelium Studios, art teacher, artist, photographer, journalist, whatever else he wants to throw his names at himself. You've been watching our Twitch live stream. I'm going to chop this. I don't even know how to do that, but I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna throw this on Facebook probably, and not Facebook, YouTube in a minute. Who can watch 3.5 hours of a stream? But that's it. The first one was the longest. I think that was crazy. I don't know if we're gonna do this again tomorrow night. I don't know if we will. I got my class on Saturday. I'm still prepping for. It's done, but I'm still working on it. What else is popping?
My classes start next week too.
It's gonna be crazy. I don't know how we're gonna squeeze these in.
Well, my class is gonna require me to be sitting right here where I'm at in front of my computer. So, after class, turn it on.
There it is.
Like, I feel like, if we need to get on this train and nothing should stop us. You know what I mean? You don't have to have another 3-hour one. You just do an hour. But we got to still do it. Consistency is going to be really important.
All right. That's what's up.
All right. Well, see you guys later.
All right. Thank you.
Turn it off.